What up? All right, we're back. We're not going to talk about that subject anymore because I can't handle it. So we'll just talk about other stuff. Yeah. Round 3, technically, Seth, because I had a round by myself. Pretty good Silverado. So, anyways, sorry for that. Been a stressful week, and the guy can only push that shit down so deep before it blows up. So that's all there is to it. But anyways, well, Tim, we're talking about people and loyalty and stuff, but I can't talk about it without blowing my top. So it was going to be unproductive. So I bailed from the first live, and now we're back. Thanks, man. Yeah, it froze because I shut the computer and started throwing shit. But it is what it is. What's up, Randy? So, anyways, we'll talk about trucks and shit. Trucks and shit seem to be less stressful than everything else. So, uh, we'll talk a little bit about the ranch and where we're at there. And I don't know why this one light from the ceiling is right in my face. No matter what I do with the thing, it's on me. There we go. Let's start with the ranch. What are we going to do with Trisha? Trisha's for sale. Everything's for sale. Even I would even sell Marla if the price was right. I don't want to. Marla's finally the truck I always wanted, and so I don't want to sell it. But heck, man, if I could buy a new life, I'd sell that truck in a heartbeat. But so trucks and shit. Let's talk about the ranch. You guys know that one of the main reasons we bought the ranch was because it had the semi-truck graveyard. 40 years of trucking with my buddy JP, and well, that whole thing turned to shit so fast. So we made the deal on the property, and we knew that the stuff wasn't included in the property sale. But I thought because me and JP were going to be working on, making a deal that I wouldn't have anything to worry about, and I'd have all kinds of time. Well, time got tough, and things had to happen. And so what ended up happening is 99% of the stuff that's on the property went to the scrap. It's unfortunate, but sometimes scrap happens, and there's just too many people involved and too many decisions and too much time. And I'm strapped right now because of the purchase and all that. So we just couldn't come up with a deal in a timely manner, and clock was ticking, so it ended up getting scrapped. Now, that being said, the property looks so much nicer without all that stuff. There's a lot of things involved in having 50 old trucks full of coolants and oils and other fluids and fuels and oils and coolants and other fluids and tires, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tires, and old storage tanks full of stuff and old parts. As much fun and as an excitement that would have been to have all of that, it actually, in the end, as sad as it was nice to have a clean slate. We'll talk about the wrecker in a minute. Remind me. Don't let me forget. We'll talk about the wrecker. The wrecker is not sold. It was just a misunderstanding with the thumbnail. And we'll talk about that whole deal. But so when we were getting, when the scrapping was happening, this company, I was really worried that they were going to leave me with like a huge mess. And so that was really, really stressful. And it turns out those guys, they had integrity, and they followed through, and they pretty much made the ranch all sparkle buggy. They cleaned up all the mess. Now, when you see some videos coming out over the next couple of weeks, you're going to be like, they cleaned up the mess. Look, some of the trees and stuff that you'll see in the videos are down because I wanted them down, and they took them down for me for free. And I said, look, I don't expect you to haul them off. Just knock them over and I'll get them out of there. So it'll initially look like they kind of screwed me and left some stuff around, but they didn't. It was my mess to clean up. So, but you'll see that the land looks remarkable. We did some work on the driveway. Those guys put a lot of truck traffic on the driveway and ran a lot of that gravel into the earth, and they fixed it all up and made it all look nice. And they even repaired the entrance. So they went above and beyond, and I think it ended up being a pretty good deal. Now, there are some vehicles that were left. If you remember from an old video, you might see all the way in the back, there was a Kenworth K100, an old high door handle in the 70s with a Detroit. That's still there. We'll get into details on that another time because I don't want to get upset while we're talking about stuff. But then also that brown Peterbilt 362 has that broken crank NTC 475 twin turbo motor. That stayed. A couple of cars and the beer truck, the Schlitz beer truck, and a dump truck. I think it's a GMC flatbed dump truck with a 471 Detroit. And what else? And this white, and I can't remember what you call it. Super Sport, Super something. Anyways, that white is the truck that got sold. And so what happened is I met this person, and I don't want to say their name because I haven't really talked about it, whether or not I could share his information. He already has a video out with the picture of the wrecker, so you'll be able to tell right away who I'm talking about. But anyways, I ran into him at Matt's, and he was like, hey, this truck you have out on your property, this such and such. And I was like, I didn't know what he meant. And then once he explained it to me, I knew exactly what truck he meant. So he said, man, I'd love to buy that. And so I approached JP and said, hey, I got a buyer for this truck if you can save from the scrap. And so bing, bang, boom, Bob's your uncle. We saved it from the scrap. This guy bought it, and then obviously came out to pay for the truck and see the truck in person, and it was on the ranch. So he got to see my truck. So now I wanted to meet up with those guys. We were trying to get it all in sync to have that happen while I was home, but I didn't plan well enough in advance, and so I ended up having to come out to training. Now, so I hope that answers the question about the wrecker. It's not gone. I use it, and actually we have a video coming out maybe by Saturday, and I use the wrecker as a wrecker, and rather than as something to, recover that, like that big trailer we practically ruined the truck with. And when you use that wrecker as a wrecker, it works amazing. So we'll go over that later as well. We got some video coming out. Everything else is gone. That day cab Freightliner cab over from Southwire gone. All those trucks, oh man, all those trucks with Series 60s in them gone. I was trying to, I actually need core injectors for 60 series, and I never even thought about it. I took a couple of parts off one, and then I just watched as they scrapped them. And then like 2 days later, I was like, oh my God, I needed injector cores. So I lost out on any injector cores. And, I could have been like, oh no, I want to buy that. I want to buy that. I want to buy that. But piecemeal, it would have been 10 times as much money as if I could have just settled with them on one price. And then I would have had to do all the cleanup. So it is what it is. It's gone. We'll just have to see what happens from now. Let's see. Superpower. Superpower white. I think that might be exactly it. Let's see. Can I get a shout out? So what's happening with the trucks? Matthew, I hope I don't know when you made the comment, so I hope I answered the questions. But if you have something specifically, um, ask me now, and I'll try and answer it. Everybody who logged in while I was just going on and on and on about the ranch, sorry that I missed saying hello to you. Plans for Marla. So Marla is nearly perfect. And when I say that, there's I need to do interior and some more front end stuff, and I need my stomach to quit growling, and I need what else? Oh, so when you're making a performance engine in a performance truck, and you say, and they ask, when you're asking the people who know how to do that stuff, what pieces you need, and they say, what are your horsepower goals? And of course, you just automatically say, well, I want to be able to hook onto a sled and pull that shit against guys who do that for a living. So they're like, oh, you need to make 2,500 horsepower. And I'm like, yes, 2,500 horsepower. And so then you build an engine to make 2,500 horsepower. And then you realize that 2,500 horsepower lasts about this long in between rebuilds. And you think, well, maybe I don't really need 2,500 horsepower. So then you start thinking seriously what you need horsepower wise. And so right now, Marla has an engine that could handle 2,500 horsepower for about that long. And it has a turbo that can make 2,500 horsepower all day long, every day. And it has injectors that can handle 1,000 horsepower for this long. And so right now I have a whole bunch of things that are mismatched for what I really want. And, right now the truck's probably making, and I'm gonna use James Pretty numbers. The truck is realistically probably making 600, 650 horsepower at the wheels. Other people say more and other people say less. And, until that thing hits the dyno, we're going to use my numbers. The turbo's too big for that. The turbo is amazing. And when you put the juice to it and it makes black smoke at 50 pounds of boost, it's making gobs and gobs of power, but it's also making gobs and gobs of heat, and that's what kills it. So we turn it down. And we're going to do two things. We're going to put bigger injectors, so we're going to drive them less, not quite as hard. And we're going to put a little bit smaller turbo on it, because do we need a 2,500 horsepower turbo? No. Do we like it? Yeah. But do we need the extra heat and all the crazy stuff you have to do that? No. So right now it has an 88 millimeter turbo on it. It's a billet race gear thing, but it's based on the GT 5533 88 millimeter. It has a 133 millimeter exducer. If you guys know what those are, the exducer is so big that you can't get ahead of it with the motor, supposedly. And so it's not going to work unless we throw tons and tons and tons and tons of fuel at it and a lot more RPMs than is safe to run. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Johnny from Stainless Diesel build me a new 80 millimeter with the same aggressive wheel, but not the 133 millimeter exducer. And then we're going to go with a little bit more. Yeah, the turbo's way overkill. We're going to go with a little bit more injector, so we don't have to drive it as hard, so that we can keep the fuel in that inside the bowl of the piston, because then that keeps the heat in the center of the piston and that out on the sides of the piston. And hopefully we'll get longevity out of the motor. Other than that, I love the truck. I hate the shifter because it's cable shift and it's not quite right. And I'm out of adjustment. And so that same gear that was missing, and it may be as easy as really, it may have a shift fork that's bent a little bit. So I may take the top of the trans off and take it to my transmission guy, make sure those things are where they're supposed to be. But yeah. Okay, I've seen it. I have not read any of these questions, except for what's wrong with factory specs. Now let's talk about factory specs for a minute. Marla had an 8V92 475 and a 13 speed and 411s from the factory. Let me check. I'm getting an important message. Oh, so you guys see me scratching my neck, right? Jessica is hyper aware of it because she's very observant. But before I get into the factory specs, I was trying to dig out the beer truck. If you guys follow me on Facebook, you saw that great big wasp and all that other stuff that was going on. Well, I got into some poison oak, and it was on the back of it was behind this ear, and it was my back of my neck was just welted all up. And I did a round of prednisone, which fixed the welts. My skin feels normal, but the itch has not gone away. It's like the itch is like under my skin. So if you see me scratching, there's nothing there. It's just the itch of that poison oak is not giving up. Okay, moving on. So what's wrong with factory specs? The truck had a 475 and a 13 speed and 411s. It's all rubber. The two-stroke Detroit, even though I put bigger injectors in it and did a tune-up on it, and it's probably making closer to 500 horsepower, if you believe the field service manual is making 501 horsepower or something. But the truck was just, that engine was wore out. That truck just was not fun to drive. I put a 15-speed in it, which made it even worse to drive. And so as much as I love the truck, I hated driving it. It was just a flat dog. And so I was going to repower it. I had a deal on a BK block 12.7 at 500 horse, and that was going to go in there, and it was going to be fine, and I'd be fine with it. I probably would have put a 1702 turbo on it, and it would have been great. However, the guy screwed me. We were supposed to pick it up. I agreed to buy it on a Thursday. I said, I'll send you the money right now if you want. He's like, no, don't worry about it. It's your truck. So Friday, Saturday, he's sending me pictures and videos. It's almost out. He's got it running. And then I messaged him and said, hey, I'll be there at 6 a.m. to get the truck. He's like, oh, one of my buddies came by, saw I was getting ready to get the engine out, and he came and just bought the whole truck. Sorry, bro. And so I got screwed out of that deal. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna build a 14 liter. Now, to the point of what's wrong with the factory specs of a 14 liter? Nothing. And actually, I should have just did a out of frame in frame and put it back to factory specs and put it in the truck and just put a bigger turbo on it. But because I'm a hot rodder and a drag racer and a horsepower guy, and I like to have fun. I like to party, I decided I wanted to build something that was just crazy, because a lot of people see a lot of people on the internet and, oh, I got 1,000 horsepower. Oh, look at this 1,000 horsepower. This is tough. So I was like, I want to be able to say, I have 1,000 horsepower truck and then put it on the dyno and make 1,500. Now there's a couple of guys out there. There's a red Freightliner, I think it is, down south a little bit. And that's 1,000 horsepower to wheels all day long, and he hauls with it. And there's a guy up north, a couple of guys up north got big horsepower Detroits, and you got some guys got big horsepower cats, and I just wanted to be one of the guys that had big horsepower motor. So that's why, built for the content, built for my pleasure. And dude, let's say the truck makes 650 horsepower right now, which it's probably more. But have you ever heard a truck that sounds as good on the Jakes as Marla? I mean, every time I can't not be on the Jakes. I mean, I purposely accelerate so that I can get on the Jakes constantly, and so it's super fun to drive, and so that's what I wanted. I wanted Marla to be fun, and it's fun, and that's where we're at. So hopefully, hopefully that answers your question on the factory specs. All right, let's see. Why do you call Whitney a Japanese Freightliner? Okay, so listen, it's not anything I did. There's my neck itching again. That's not anything I did. That is just what people called them. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure of the history. White was white before white was white Freightliner, right? So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But that's not me. That's just what people I hang around with call them, and so that's why I call it that. Definitely does have a blue steel turbo pipe. It's not good. That's not a good sign. And it's almost the elbows, right? So if I would have left it turned up another week, I think I would have blued the elbow. Cool, but I think I already have some life off of it because when it was turned up, the turbo boost, when the turbo comes on at 1,400 RPMs, the boost goes from like 7 pounds to 50 pounds that fast. It goes just like that. And when I tried to hold the camera and get the tack and the boost pressure and the EGT all in the set so you could see it. The EGT beats the boost to 50. So, and the boost, I'm telling you, the boost goes right, and the EGT goes from like 600 to 1,000 faster than the boost gets to 50 pounds, which is literally like less than 2 seconds. And so it's super dangerous. And stopping at 1,000 degrees post turbo, you could have serious things going on inside, and you could actually smell the heat, and also the coolant temp would get hot. So that the coolant temp would get hot pretty quickly. So if that tells you how much cylinder temperature you have, if I didn't have the coated pistons in there, I probably would have already burned a piston. And yes, Randy, horsepower is awesome. All right, so we talked about Marla, talked about the ranch. What else can we talk about? Crystal, maybe. Update on Franny. Man, I love Franny. If I had it in me to do another truck, I'd be doing Franny. And I've thought about it a lot, but I don't have it in me. All right, Randy, take it easy, buddy. Edward, are you talking about on Marla? It is a silver, and it did have both. I mean, it was a silver. Let's talk about Crystal. Crystal is in the process of getting stock exhaust put on it, which I tossed it around. Do I put the single exhaust on Crystal that was on Trisha and put the quiet exhaust on Trisha? But you know what? I started putting Marla's exhaust on Crystal, and I think it looks fine. And really, I just want to sell Crystal. So I think Crystal's price is down to about 20 grand. So I'd like to move that truck. I wish I could, Tim, but I'm in Detroit and she's in Georgia, so she's gonna have to wait for that Mother's Day dinner until I get home. But I appreciate you being here. X. X is a hot topic. X is a mess right now. We are trying to deliver X, and X is not wanting to leave the state of Georgia. So we are trying to get in front of it, and soon. So there should be some X content coming. I'd love to say that was going to happen this month. I would really honestly love to say that that's going to happen this month, but it is. I've never seen, other than Dolores trying to kill me those couple of times, I've never seen a truck that had that much new shit on it that absolutely didn't want to leave my driveway. So X is a basket case right now. I don't have any explanation for you guys. And believe me, it's on the top of the priority list. Yeah, somebody needs to buy Trisha and Crystal. I'd make a good deal on the package. I'd maybe sell the pair of them for 35,000, and I have that in Trisha, and separately I have that in Crystal, not counting ours. What's up, Kyle? Yeah, it would be cool if somebody bought them both. I'm really ashamed of myself for letting that paint job happen. Not only because it didn't turn out and now it has to be done over, but because there really wasn't anything wrong with the paint job before. It looked sexy as hell. I just couldn't live with that one headlight bezel being a different, or headlight panel being a different color red. But I regret that decision every day. Every day. Upgrade Betty. Betty just needs paint. Interior, we were talking about Betty. We're about to take it off the insurance. It's been sitting for a year. That $350 a month for insurance. That's, probably what I would have in the cost of materials to paint it. Well, get your sander. Come on down. We got, since things have changed and now I'm going to be painting the trucks by myself. We got to do some fiberglass repairs and prep and paint on the windshield frame of Crystal, because I don't want to sell it to somebody and then have the windshield flop out while they're going down the road. That would piss me off. So I need to do that. I've got new rubbers anyway, so I'm going to fix the windshield frame, repair that whole area, do all the gel coat and stuff that you do, and put new windshield rubbers and windshields in it. Let's see. I've got to get the paint stripper out and strip Trisha back down to bare metal, and I'm going to strip the paint off the fiberglass as well. This place in Canada makes a good stripper for fiberglass. So I'm going to strip that whole truck and then, do actual body work and metal prep and proper sealing and primer and all that shit, and probably paint it one color. And I'm going to try and find the same color red that it was and at least paint that truck red again. Yeah. Airplanes come to America all the time from Germany. Put all your tools and stuff in one of those hard cases, put you a couple of TSA locks on them, jump on a freighter, send it over here, and let's get after it. You taking off, Silverado? Did I miss that? Right, Gil? Well, Jester, in he paid me back the money. Uh, the only thing that I'm out is the fact that now it's not the red truck it used to be. Now it's a puke color that I created that I'm not happy with. So it is what it is. Uh, I can't say anything bad about the guy. There were problems. He tried to fix them, and there was a point where he was going to already had more time in it than the money I paid him, and so he just refunded me. And so that's as stand up as you can ask for, right? I mean, he could have been like, "Well, dude, I spent all this money on in time and it didn't work out. Sorry, here's your truck back," like some places would. The dude was like, "Look, I don't know what's going on. I can't fix it. I'm just going to have to give you your money back." And he did. And so I got no hard feelings. It was my decision to do the truck. I should have never sanded the roof on that thing to begin with, self-inflicted. And you'll find if you think about uh, the things that happen in your life, majority of them are self-inflicted. Self-inflicted. All right, Jim, take it easy. Yep, that's for sure, Jester. Yep. You pick your friends, and sometimes it's a bad move. Yeah. That was Jessica telling me that she was going to take a nap and that she loved me. And I said, "I love you too, Mama." So, yeah, Gil, I'm probably going to, obviously I'm going to chemical strip it, and then I'm going to have to do some sort of body work because there's some dents that need to be handled, and then there'll be some sort of sealer and primer and that sort of stuff. I really wish that I was neighbors with Ray from Team Steam because it sure would be nice to just be like, "Hey neighbor, how about I mow your grass for the next 5 years and you paint my truck or something?" You know what I mean? That's for sure. That's for sure, Brad. Yeah. All right. So what else? Let's talk about training. Let's talk about my training. Um, every year on my employment anniversary, um, kind of on my check ride anniversary from when I get type rated initially, I have to come back to my company and prove that I still know what I'm doing. Uh, um, Starts off with the day of the most boring, dreadful, blah, 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 blah classroom stuff. I mean, just beat your head into the wall, boring ass classroom stuff. And then the next day you go into the simulator and you get hammered on emergency procedures like upset recovery, fires, failures, like just one right after the other. So you take off and something happens to the airplane and you got to run through a bunch of checklists and you got to, you know, go do all the stuff that you have to do in real life. Call the company, tell them what's going on, tell them you're turning around, get some performance numbers, la, 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 dump some fuel, land, put out the fire or whatever the heck the problem is and get out of the airplane. And then you take off and you climb out and you get up to altitude and you start doing like steep turns and stalls and upset recoveries, like airplanes up, straight up and down like this, or it's straight down like that and you have to recover without ripping the airplane in half. And then man, just never ends. Wind shear and terrain and just one thing after the other. It really like beats the crap out of you. And then the next day, uh, 24 hours later, you back in the simulator and you have to do the required maneuvers for the check ride, and it's practice. But they take you to a different airport, they use different weather, they have different parameters, and then you do a series of things that you have to do for the qualification. And 24 hours after that, you go to a different airport, and it's for real this time. You can't make any mistakes. Um, and you could fail. And if you fail, you get put on the naughty list. You're like, oh, this guy sucks. Now he has to do that training twice a year. First they train you till you can pass. Then you have to go back twice a year and be all embarrassed because you suck. And until you do that 2 cycles, and then you're back to once a year. But then after you pass that check ride, then you have another check ride the next day, which is it's like basically it's a lot regular line flight. So you show up at the simulator just like you do at the airplane, and you got your paperwork, and you get on the airplane and you go through all your paperwork and you do all your procedures and you set up the whole airplane for the trip and you do the whole task just like you do every day. And they usually introduce failures or other things, safety of flight stuff. And so you have to do all of the normal bill crap plus fly to a destination. Like we spent a 3-hour flight last night in the simulator going from Incheon to Hong Kong. And then we had a problem in Hong Kong and had to do uh, what's called a resolution advisory for traffic. So we were going to have a midair. And so the computer does all the math and tells both airplanes what to do, and you do it and you don't crash. And then, but as part of that procedure, if you're on the approach into the airport, you have to go around, and then it's a big long hassle too. So you got 2 training events and 2 testing events. And if you fail either one of the testing events, you get put in the naughty box. So this was my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This was my 11th event. I haven't failed any. Come close a few times, but this one was substantially better than the last one. The last one was better than the one before. The one before was better than the one before that. And so they're getting easier and they're getting kind of fun, but it's still stressful. All right, let me read some of these things. What's up, Johnny? I actually have some Popweiler. I bought some for Trisha, just never used it. Yeah. Yep, Adam, there's not much left of you if you go through jet engine. Use some stuff. Yep. See you, Matthew. Yep, my stretch frames. Yeah, I heard that, Josh. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up on some of these messages. Yep, Don did paint it himself. Looks good too. Okay, I think I'm somewhat come up. I can never keep track. I can't keep track of the messages. They go by pretty fast, and I'm trying to like look at you while I'm talking instead of looking over here when I'm talking. So, uh, yeah, it's a little weird. Right on, Jester. We'll see you. Pup, no, most of the people in the FAA are aviation related people, whether, their parents were pilots or they were pilots or whatever. I mean, uh, there's a reason when we have something that gets tested in the simulator, it's usually because there's a problem with that in real life, and it's something that you could um, have to deal with. And so if it's something that is repetitive, that it comes into training. And a lot of the stuff that we do in our training is based on things that come up in our particular airline. So yeah. uh, what is the title of the live mean? So I started a live earlier, and I got a little emotional about some stuff I was talking about. So I cut the live off and decided I'd delete that and start a new one. Oh, nice, Brent. Later, Jester. 777, 3 years. 8 years in the 7.4 before that. 7 years in the 7.4 before that, and 2 years in MDE, year in the Saab 340, and a whole bunch of GA time. Yeah, Adam, that I get that. Uh, yeah, there's so basically the same thing. We have check airmen, check pilots, if you want to call them that, and there are people that are just dicks, and they'll fail you on something like that, but it's not very often, and they don't last very long because really the objective is to train a guy properly, and then um, as long as they're safe and continually training, then there's no reason to fail somebody unless something safety flight happens. Oh, sorry, Pop. Yeah, I just got mad. I started talking about something that I'm a little sensitive about, and uh, I started getting pissed, and I couldn't stop. I was on a roll, so I had to go. Nope, that truck sold to actually Chad Keegan sold that truck for JP. And nope, we have not finished moving yet. A lot to do. Do you have thought on missing 370? Nope. I have the same speculations that you guys have, because I don't know. I don't really know anything factual about it. Leaving, Dave? We didn't talk about the new shop at all. I don't really have a good picture. I tried to send a picture to Peterbilt Mike last night. We were chatting it up, and I was trying to explain to him what I wanted to do with the shop, and I turned around and I took a picture before I left for work because I knew I wanted a picture of it, but I was so far away, you really can't tell anything. Um, I don't know what you guys might have seen in that video where the guy picked up his truck there and had the wrecker as a thumbnail, but he may have shown the shop. Um, so let's see. Yeah, they scrapped it all. Um, Everything there got scrapped except for a couple little pieces that I was able to save. Let's talk about the shop. You know that the shop was a 24 by 48, really high ceiling shop, and on three sides of the shop were semi-trailers that were used as both sidewalls and additional storage. But, those trailers were rotted out. They'd been on the building for 30 years or whatever it was. And so it really was just a huge way for water to get in the shop and cold air. Excuse me. And so you saw the video where we took the wrecker and we pulled that trailer off the back of the building. And that thing weighed like 40,000 pounds. And it sitting on the ground, no wheels, no nothing under there. So it took everything the wrecker had to get that thing to move. And actually, we damaged the wrecker pretty good trying to do that job. And so with the wrecker being down and them guys out there doing the scrap, I decided I would sell them the one trailer that was attached to the building was stainless. And so I knew that thing was probably worth, $1,500, $2,000 in scrap, probably more. And so I approached the scrap guys and said, listen, I will give you this trailer if you get these trailers off my building and get rid of them. And so we made the deal, shook hands. I went to work. When I came home, they were gone. And so the building is, we did the back wall before I left, and the building now has no sidewalls. It has half sidewalls. So while I was home last month, we did some cleanup. We got some trees out of there, and we started planning. And what we're going to do is when you're facing the building on the left-hand side, we're going to move the building out 12 feet. So it'll be 12 feet wider, and it'll be the same height and the same shape as the building. We'll have a door on the front and a door on the back so you can drive through. And that portion of the building is going to be open to the outside because we don't have money for doors right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to close in the sidewall, and we're going to there's 4 sections. Let's just say there's 4 10-foot sections. There's 4 12-foot sections, obviously, because it's 48 feet, right? Each one of the front and the back sections will be wall, and the 2 center sections will be sliding barn doors. So while that area is open and just used for storage, probably that's where Jessica's truck will be, on that side of the building. And maybe I can get Marla in there as well. So we might have Betty and Marla in that side of the building with those doors pulled in and latched so you can't just come into the shop from there. And then on the right side of the building, we're going to do probably a 12-foot lean-to from that whole 48 feet. And then we'll concrete that floor, and then that'll be just a pull-through open air. And then that way we'll put my car lift in there. So if I need to work on a regular car, I can pull in there and put it on the lift. And when I'm not utilizing that space for working on cars, that's probably where it could be where the Camaro and the Nova go, because I don't have a garage. And I have the Pro Street 69 Camaro, and then I could call it Pro Street, but it's not a big tire car, the 69 Nova. So those will probably be parked on the right-hand side, but that's the shop update as far as it goes. That's my kids' birth dates and names. All right, Torsten, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Back 5 minutes later just shows you're real. Well, yeah, right. I get it. I was like, what? Okay. It took me a second, but yep, for sure. What's up, Justin? What about building a shipping container shop? 40 feet's just not big enough. I did consider getting some of those 53-foot intermodal containers and doing that, but what I probably should have done was just tear my building down and build a new shop. But I don't have the money, and I don't see having the money anytime soon. So we're going to just repair what we got. We've got to fix some fencing. We got to finish the shop. I want to pave that. I'm gonna put in where the entrance is to the shop. It's kind of narrow. Um, let me specify. Where the entrance is to the road to the shop, it's narrow. So what I want to do is I want to kind of grand that entrance. I want to open those wings out, and then I want to put in a culvert, take that whole entrance out, put in a culvert, build a whole new entrance, and pave that. Maybe with 6 or 8 inches of good asphalt base, so it can take the weight. And then I want to put in a like a grand ranch, even though it's not a huge piece of property. I still want to have like that great big, like I don't know if you want to call it wrought iron gate or whatever, but I want to have like an actual ranch entrance. Do you believe old semi-trailer do not last as long as trucks do? Because usually people restore old trucks more than trailers. Um, yeah, I think now there's some trailers out here in Georgia that are from like the 50s and 60s, and they're in pretty good shape still, even though they're just sitting in the woods. I think that they started building trailers cheap, and that's why trailers don't last. Yeah, Brent, that style like Tim built is pretty. It's pretty economical compared to like a red iron building. Yeah, Edward, exactly. Yeah, Adam, for sure, brother. 80-foot, 2 height ocean. Yeah, I remember that. I don't watch that guy though. It's like 99 projects. I can't watch him either. You know, I was thinking about that too. If you get those containers that have doors on both ends, you could technically snatch the doors off and weld that shit together and have an 80-foot container. I probably should just sell the Nova and the Camaro. I'm never going to drive either one of them. Maybe somebody give me like 75 or $80,000. They could have them both. Yeah, concrete's crazy expensive. I'm still waiting. Like before I left for work, like last Saturday, so 8 days ago, I met with my buddy, the guy who's doing the work on my building, and said, "Hey, I need this. What I want to do." And he's like, "Okay, I'll get your price." And I still haven't heard yet. And I'm sure it's because he's waiting on materials prices. Yeah, they are hard to watch, brother. You know, I'll give you an example. I'm just going to talk about people because I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm not trying to bullshit anybody. We'll talk about Peterbilt Mike. I watch Peterbilt Mike. I watch all of his videos. And you know, people can say what they want about Peterbilt Mike, but Peterbilt Mike is a true truck guy. Like he has done so many things that he's never done before and pulled it off. Like pulled it off. That he'd never done fiberglass stuff and he did that repair on that burn ass truck and he did a nice job. And he had that whole I haven't even begun to sack it up to take the whole plastic dash out of a K100. And he took that whole dash out and repaired it and got that whole thing back in. Kudos to Peterbilt Mike. And matter of fact, last night I was watching his latest video and I've talked to him a couple of times about the frame. And listen, I'm not no truck god who knows everything about everything. People that may or may not be smarter than me told me don't do a straight cut on that frame. We've had conversations. I've done the math. I've consulted experts. I know a little bit about frames, and Mike's frame on his truck was in rough shape, and I was scared of that frame, and so I tried it right away. I tried to talk him into cutting that truck off, and he's like, "I'm not cutting the truck off, James." And I'm like, "Is there anything I can do to persuade you to cut that truck off?" He's like, "I'm not cutting the truck off." He goes, "Listen, I'm going to fix it. Here's my plan." And I'm like, I can't tell him that it's not going to work because I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I just have my own opinion, right? And so last night, and you guys do it to me too. You start watching a video and then you question, "Oh, why didn't you do X, Y, and Z?" And then like 30 seconds after you make the comment, then I change my direction and I go and do what may have been suggested. And then you're like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I spoke too soon." So excuse me. I did that to Mike last night. I I just sent him a message and I was like, "Mike, is there any way I can talk you into cutting that frame off?" Again last night. And he's like, "No." And so he sent me some pictures and then we got talking. And man, he does a really good job, dude. He really does. He's such like he loves those trucks, you know, and it reminds me of myself because I love my trucks. And you know, I may not be the greatest mechanic in the world or the smartest dude or the, you know, an engineer or rocket science or whatever it is, but you know, I love those trucks and I want to make them cool. And Mike loves his trucks and he wants to make them cool. And I watch Mike. He's a great guy. Yeah, he's turning into a good mechanic. Like, I'm not saying he wasn't a good mechanic, but he has impressed me many times. That engine build out of those two that were blowed up, and that truck still runs every day. And you know, now with Smokey doing that whole interior, that whole exterior, then the interior, and that motor swap and all that stuff, dude, seriously. So, um, dang it. I don't know how to say anything about DeBoss because I haven't watched him so long. So we'll just pass him up. Twin Sticks, Mark. Now I can't watch Mark right now because I'm totally not into Smoking the Bandit. I should be. I'm kind of embarrassed that I'm not into Smoking the Bandit, but you know, I only watched it because of Sally Field, right? I didn't really dig the whole semi truck aspect of it. So I can't really watch that restoration of the car because it's just not my thing. Mark was not a mechanic when he started that truck, right? He's like an electrical something. So I think he's electrical. Is he electrical engineer? I don't remember, but he was not a mechanic. And when he first started doing that first truck, I was like, "Oh my God, what in the hell is this guy doing?" But his I'm going to say his grit and his determination, um, and the fact that he wasn't afraid to learn how to do it on the go attracted me, and I think that maybe what attracted other people too. And he's got a cool personality, and he likes trucks, and so I watched. I mean, I've watched. I don't remember where he finished that blue truck 156 episodes or something. I don't even remember. I watched every one of those things, and some of them I watched twice. And sometimes when I was going to do something and it clicked in my head that he'd already done it, I went back and watched him do it and then hit him up on, I think Instagram is where I talked to him and said, "Hey, where can you tell me what the part number was for that and where you got them?" Shoot right over to me. Good dude, successful YouTuber. He's been in the money for a while, so kudos to him. Interested to see where he goes. I'm not a fan of his cab over project at all, but that doesn't mean I won't watch it. I'm just not going to pay to watch it. Cab over Outlaws. I just watched one of his videos last night, actually. Let's see. Team said he would love to collaborate with you on Marlo's paint job. Listen, I would love for that to happen, but we are decades apart from each other. Like if either one of us had to go to the other person's house, it's like it like takes 6 months to walk there. It's so far away, dude. And you're not gonna get any time from that guy because he has got like we were talking about doing a truck paint. And he was like, man, I'm swamped. He goes, I might be, and I don't remember exactly what he said. So this might not be 100% accurate because I don't remember the exact day he said, but I think he said at the time, he was like, and even if we wanted to do it right now, I'm 3 months out. And he's knocking out a paint job a week, I think. Sometimes it might be longer. And I'm not quoting that, but I think he does one truck a week. And if you're 3 months out, that's a ton of time that something can happen and move you another week and another week. So if we were neighbors, I'd already have something done. And he is probably, in my opinion, the best at what he does. So I would love to have him help me paint. And I begged him to come too. When I was doing the hood on X, I was like, please come here and help me. And he's like, dude, I can't. I'm like, just throw your shit in the Pelican case and come to James Pretty's. And he was like, I can't. But great guy. He helped me. He learned me how to do fiberglass. He has spent time with me on the phone and via text message. And dude, amazing guy. Mechanical engineer. That's it. Thanks, bud. I couldn't remember. I knew it was some kind of. I tend to see many old Fruhoff trailers, 40, 50 years old. Yep. Yep. I agree with that. Uh-oh. Seth said railroad. I can't remember what he can't. I don't know what he's talking about. Did I miss something, Seth? What do you mean? Was it a comment and another comment? Too many have gone by. Oh, Adam, let me talk about Bruce. So listen, I am friends with Bruce, and Bruce is really an amazing guy. I mean, Bruce doesn't have to recognize James Pretty as a human if he didn't want to. Bruce is shit world famous, dude. He is the Will It Start guy. When I started watching YouTube, is because my brother, you guys know, my brother called me and said, you watch YouTube? And I'm like, no, you don't watch that shit. And he's like, dude, you get on there and you type in Will It Start? And we shit talked Bruce together, watching YouTube over the phone together. And I went from not watching YouTube to being a YouTuber because of Bruce Wilson. You know, when I first reached out to Bruce, he was already 10 years famous and I was nobody. And he didn't have to answer me or listen to my question or offer guidance on any of it. He didn't have to do that shit. And he didn't know me from anybody else, never even heard of my channel. And he has been a great friend. Bruce is a showman, right? Like I was mad about believe me, I said something about the Kenworth. I love old trucks. And I think that destroying something for views is horrible. But that you got to understand, not everybody is into this old junk, right? Bruce really is a good mechanic. He's had a lot of really fast diesel trucks, and he's had a lot of cool shit, and he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to make money as a showman. And you know what? I can't fault him personally for knowing how to make money. I was a little hurt about the video. But he's a great guy. He really is. And if you like him, you like him. If you don't, you don't. I don't not like you if you don't like him. I get what you're saying. I'm pretty sure DeBoss is a great guy, and I'm pretty sure that 99 Projects is a great guy. I personally can't stay interested in their stuff. Yeah. Yes, little by little is the truck I was talking about. Mark's truck. The nice thing about Ray moving up to Michigan is that the next time or when he's here, the next time immediately after that, that I'm going to have training here, I'm going to go see him because then I won't have to drive 60 days to get to his house from mine. Oh, okay. Okay, Seth. I got you. Yep, exactly. Exactly. Different strokes. Let me think. There's people, Cletus McFarland. I don't know if you guys follow that or not, but that Cletus, when I first saw Cletus, he was just a kid, man. And I was like, I had made some comment, Jesus, look at this guy. He is never going to be anything. And that's how smart I'm not, because look at that guy, mega millionaire, mega YouTube star, uh, and a super good dude. Like I never thought that kid that was making a joke out of stuff was going to turn into somebody who was a better businessman than I probably would ever be, and definitely a huge entertainer. And dude, when you can write your own ticket into NASCAR, you're something. You know what I'm saying? So, never judge a YouTuber by his beginnings. And man, crazy, 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 crazy. Oh, really, Keith? Let's see. Oh, right on, Shane. Yeah, it does suck. And Pup, yeah, I think you know what, Bruce. I think I said Bruce is a good friend. I've had Bruce. Bruce called me a few times, just out of the blue to check on me. I mean, he's just a good dude, man. Um, and he's not even really arrogant. Like when you see him at first, you think, because he is famous and he is a very good businessman, so he's very successful, and you think, man, this guy's going to be arrogant. I don't know how I don't know how we're gonna, you know, how it's gonna work out. And when I first reached out to him, dude, he is such a nice guy. I mean, he gets the raw deal, but he's a great guy. Heavy D, I used to follow him. Uh, why don't I watch Heavy D anymore? Because the stuff is just too. He's too rich. He's too rich, and I'm human, and so I'm envious, and I don't watch him. I want to have to sell my old beater Blackhawk helicopter to buy a new one. But Heavy D's stuff is good. He's a great businessman. He knows dude was making mega bucks on merch before merch was a thing. Dude's brilliant, and I have much respect for him as well. I don't know where that is, Keith. Even though I grew up just a couple hours that way from where I'm at right now, I don't know where St. Clair Shore is. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Whistling Diesel. God. He's brilliant too, man. And I always wanted to have so much money that I could manipulate the legal system and find people who had wronged me in the past by putting up billboards. Crazy. Let's see. Nobody who's anybody just asked how Marla was coming along. We had a big discussion on Marla, so I won't do the whole one, but we'll just do a quick recap. Marla is probably the greatest cab over in the whole world. Matter of fact, when I wake up in the morning, I go out to see her. She's already pissed excellence. Like she is just the greatest thing ever. It makes the most horsepower of any other truck in America. And anybody who wants to bet can meet me at uh, McDonald's and we'll race. No, being serious, Marla's getting close to being finished. I'm gonna make a few changes, turbo change, injector change. We're gonna try and fine tune a little bit on that transmission. The truck needs a full interior and some rewiring. We're gonna get that done, and we're probably not gonna paint it. And that's like just a quick summary. But if you go back and watch the replay, I think we talked about it in detail. Yeah, Adam, I think you should. Nope, I do not, Dan. Oh, 20 minutes. Okay. Right now, Keith, I am in an undisclosed location in Belleville. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, maybe, pup. I'm not sure. Yeah, Wayno whined about it. You know what? Let's talk about Wayno for a minute. Wayne's another one of those guys who's super down to earth, right? I had already talked to Wayno a few times, here and there on Facebook and just a few things. But then when we went out to get Marla, I spent hours on the phone with Wayno. And Wayno didn't have to spend any time with me. You don't owe James Pretty anything. And I spent hours and hours on the phone with Wayno, doing diagnosis and stuff. He's just a super good dude. He's a great ass mechanic, dude. But he's stuck in the old days. He's stuck in them 2-strokes. Some things don't have no power. Come on, Wayno, step up into the 60s. But anyways, yeah, he's a great guy. I love his channel. I tease him all the time because he fell into the trap of being a good YouTuber, and now he's making money and I'm not. So I cut him shit about that. But he's a great guy, and I like his work, and I watch all of his videos, even though he doesn't watch any of mine. It's okay. Yep, Keith, that's where yes. I actually wanted to paint the front end of Marla because of all the rock chips, and people just talked me out of it. Yeah, Dan, he is. He absolutely is. And then Pup just backed you up with that comment as well. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about? Let's pick one we can talk shit about. Who can we talk shit about? Can't talk shit about anybody. The thing about YouTube's tough, man. YouTube is emotionally tough. YouTube is financially tough. YouTube is hard on your family time, unless you can find a way to incorporate your whole family, like that guy in Georgia that with his kids and stuff. They do all sorts of car stuff. What's his name? You guys know what I'm talking about. He's a younger guy. He's got a bunch of kids, and they do car stuff, and he's in Georgia. Come on. What's his name? Sleeper Dude. Right? Isn't it Sleeper Dude? Hell yeah. Dude. If you find me somebody who's got anything negative to say about Sleeper Dude, right? And that's a guy who, in this, I'm going to summarize my opinion of him. This does not, is it Tennessee? I thought he was in North Georgia. This is not an official Sleeper Dude endorsement. This is just James Pretty's interpretation. That dude loves his kids and loves spending time with them, and came up with, maybe on purpose or by accident, a killer way to be able to hang out with his kids 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, doing cool shit and making a ton of money. And kudos to Sleeper Dude. It's super cool. But anyways, that wasn't paid for. That's just my opinion. I have never heard of Pepe's Towing. I'll have to look up that tonight when I'm doing some YouTubing later. Let's see. 005. Hi, James. Good to see you. Where do you think Marla is at horsepower wise? Also, what plans do you have for Rhonda? I'm going to give you a number 650 horsepower at the ground. And it's probably a lot more than that. You figure that if you watch that load, I never did put this clip in there. I have a video clip. And if I could find it real quick, I'll play it for you. And I'm following a box van, like a 53-foot van trailer behind a modern semi going up Polk County Mountain, which is the road going to the ranch. And I don't know how much weight you put in a box van. How much weight can you put in a 2-axle 53-foot van trailer? How much weight can you put in there legally? 40,000 pounds? I'm asking. 40,000 pounds, 50,000 pounds? I don't know, right? So I'm going behind this dude, and he's going 12. He's not going 72. He's not going 55. He's not going 40. It didn't slow down to the 30s. Dude was going 12 in a modern truck. Not a single axle, little ding dong truck, a modern truck. I go up that hill. Marla weighs about 17,000 pounds. The Globe weighs 30,000 pounds empty. And let's just use the Freightliner on the back of the Globe. That's a 14,000 pound truck. So you got similar weight to the box fan, probably 10,000 more even. I go up that truck with the cruise set at 60. It doesn't slow down. So it's making some steam, right? Probably more than 650. And that it hasn't been on the dyno, so I can't say it makes 818 horsepower. I don't know that. All I can say is that it's making some juice. With the truck turned up, I could probably go up that at 80, but I'd be at like 1,600 degrees post turbo, and it would just melt down. It would just go there for a minute, and then it would just be all over with. So, yeah, that's the best I can do for you there. Right, Brent. So, I never wanted to be a YouTuber, right? I bought that engine to put in the Belvedere. I bought that cut up Freightliner and took that 8V92 out, put in the Belvedere, and couldn't get it in there. But while I was doing that job, my brother's like, dude, you got to film it and put it on YouTube. And I'm like, I'm not doing YouTube. That's dumb. He's like, just film it. I'll put it on YouTube for you. And then I filmed working on it, and then he never put it on YouTube for me. And I was like, I'm just going to make a YouTube channel and do it. I mean, I did the videos, and then I couldn't monetize because I had music playing. And so it was really a waste of time. But I mean, that's why I'm doing YouTube. What happened to the guy who rebuilt a red Peterbilt conventional and a green Mac? I don't know who that is. I don't know how steep the grade is. I don't know how steep the grade is. It's not no 9%, that's for sure. I think there's 9% hill by me, but I can't get down it and get turned around to go back up it. And it's like a really small country road, so I haven't been able to mess with it. Yeah. I don't think Tim will ever bring that truck to Dyno Day with me. I'm just being honest. We'll just see how that goes. But I owe bpsdieselonline.com, bpsdieselonline.com. If you guys have any, if you need some cat stuff or Cummins stuff or Detroit stuff, 60 series stuff, check them out. bpsdiesel.com, bpsdiesel.com, bpsdiesel.com. Bell Performance Solutions. Those boys helped me out a lot on Marla, and I owe them. I need to get my ass together and get up there and get on their dyno and get that thing tuned, because they need the footage. They need the publicity. You guys need to go to bpsdiesel.com and get something. Oh, that's it. Easy Rider 359. I can't believe I didn't think about that. Ezra up there in Canada. Ezra's, I loved Ezra's channel. I watch and I'm not, you guys know I don't like Peterbilts. I watch every video that guy made from day one until yesterday. He didn't do a video yesterday. I'm just using an example. If he would have posted a video last night, I'd be watching it right now instead of having a video up. And Ezra is he's a great mechanic. He's got a cool personality. And his video production was great. And I think he was super popular during that Peterbilt thing. And then he had to go to work, and I think he didn't have time to do YouTube. And I think that's the only reason why he's not still flying, is because he just doesn't have time to do YouTube. YouTube is 4 full-time jobs. If you don't think it is, just get you some cameras and get out there and start shooting about 4 hours of footage a day and editing it, and you'll see what I mean. It is very unrewarding for most people. I've outspent my YouTube earnings 4-1, and that's not counting my time. That's just counting money that I've spent to produce content by buying trucks and buying parts and stuff, and not counting the ranch. If I throw the ranch in there, it's 10-1. So I'm not the YouTuber that started out making fun of something and then makes $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a week. I'm the guy who spent $1 million to make $150,000. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. And but I didn't do YouTube for the money. I mean, I wish I had the money. I wish I could sell merch. There is actually one guy who has bought more merch than everyone else combined on my channel. Think about that for a minute. And I wish I was younger and more appealing to the eye and said all the right words and knew how to make multiple camera angles work. And I could make back the money that I spent to produce the content that I produced. But, I didn't really originally plan on doing YouTube. I would love to have retired from my regular job and do truck stuff full time and actually move trucks and get junk out of the woods and make it nice and have people want it because I did it. But I'm never going to be that guy, apparently. So I just make content until I die, probably for free. But yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I'm not very smart, so I don't know what it takes to do production like TV quality production that makes people just can't get out of their seat and they just want to eat popcorn and watch a show. I don't know how to make a show like that, so I'll never make a living from it, but it would be super cool. Come on, Gil, put that message back up. I was going to answer it. I just don't remember what it was now. Or maybe it was one of your early ones, and I don't remember what it was. But anyways, you can put that message back up if you want. And if it was a question, I'll answer it. Steve didn't quit, dude. Steve's busy. You know, it takes a lot. Look, it's 4 full-time jobs, and if you get busy, um, if you get busy and you don't have 4 full-time jobs worth of time in the day, you can't produce any content. So just stand by. Steve's not going anywhere, and he's just busy. And I don't know that for sure, but I'm pretty confident. I think he'll pop up with a video before you know it. Well, appreciate that, Gil. Nice. Appreciate that, Keith. I can fly every GA airplane. I can fly Saab 340, MD-80, 747, and a 777. So I'm a little smart, but I still don't know how to make a production video that people will watch. There are some will it starts. I'm going to do a will it start on, and actually we tried to film a will it start on this old red car that's in the woods. But somebody had stolen everything that was important to make a car run. So we didn't do that. We cleaned some trees up around it and then was like, oh, this isn't going to work. And then we started to do a will it start on this old aluminum box fan. Because we're going to do something cool with that box fan, you watch and see. But we started cutting it out of the woods, and then I got covered in crap and sweaty, and I just gave up. So we'll do that. We've got that 471 Detroit in the dump truck that I'm going to do. I'm on the fence about a destruction video that everybody's going to hate. But we'll do a will it start on that. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I get it, Billy. I just, it just would be nice. It would be nice to just have the money back. It wasn't, I didn't want to go into debt to do YouTube. I didn't want to spend my whole retirement on stuff people didn't want to buy. So that's the only problem. I don't mind not making money. I just wish I wouldn't have spent all the money I spent to do it. You know what I mean? Yep, I agree. Heber Robinson. I was trying to figure out how to pronounce the name, but I got it. Yeah, I agree. Look, they're all made at the same place now. There are no brands really, right? So I don't have a problem with the brand, and I don't have a problem with people liking a brand. I love Kenworths. Look at me. I like Kenworth. Ooh. But if you go to the show, there's 150 of the same model Peterbilt truck painted different colors and different lengths with different pipes and different seats. And I respect the art, but if you go to the show and there's one Mac or one Kenworth cab over or one of something, that's the one I want to look at, right? So that's the way I look at it. What's up, Darren? Franny is what tricked me. So Pop 8408. Franny tricked me. I would have never bought all these trucks. I would have stopped at Franny if I didn't feel like, and just think about this for a minute. If I'd have stopped at Franny and put $400,000 in that truck, what do you think it would look like today? Because that's what I spent on trucks. Just be straight up honest with you, I spent $400,000 on trucks and truck parts and YouTube stuff. And so if I would have stopped at Franny and just did a reasonable job on Franny, like stretch it and sandblast the frame, make it look nice, do the whole body and interior and all that stuff. I could have done Franny for about 150,000, and that truck would be slap gorgeous. And I probably would be rich from YouTube because Franny was the truck that I went from a couple of thousand, few thousand subscribers to fucking 30,000 subscribers in like 90 days. And I thought, oh my God, I hit the algorithm. And so I just started buying all the trucks to do the same things I had done with Franny. And and at first it was good, not as good as Franny. Franny was like mil five, like that. Right. And then every video I did was good. Well, then I think I bought X next. I think I bought X. I think I bought X. Yeah, I think I bought X. And I think X did like a few 100,000. And the videos following were like big numbers, 80,000, 80,000, 60,000. And I thought, holy shit, I got to buy all these other trucks. And then by the time I got to the FLDs, I was, oh, even the FLDs, I'm not going to put the FLDs down. I think the pressure wash video of 12, I think just the pressure wash video on 12 did 200,000 views. I don't know if I can find it. I'll spend like 12 seconds looking just because the truck's name is 12. I'll just look for 12 seconds. You guys keeping count? Never going to find it. Let's put 12. So that's way off. The Will It Start on 12 did 265,000. The pressure wash video did 80,000, I think. Let me see. Yeah, the pressure wash video did 80,000. So, like, you think about that for a minute. I pressure washed a truck, and 80,000 people watched it. And then I put that 14 liter in Marla, and 80,000 people didn't watch that. So, like, look at the difference, right? So, I'm just saying, yeah, it's crazy. But I think if I would have stopped, if I would have bought Franny and X, and I restored Franny and X, I think I probably would have been rich. And by rich, I mean I would have two trucks that were worth $100,000 each, and I probably would have had $100,000 or $200,000 in my savings account above and beyond what I spent. But instead, I spent $400,000 to make 150. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. And I don't even think I think I am at 150. I'll just tell you. I'll just tell you what I mean. You know, we're just talking anyways, right? Just hanging out on the old internet. Let me just wick up the old analytics, and I'll just show you how much money I've made on YouTube since the first YouTube thing. This is gonna scare you a little bit. Don't panic. I'm just gonna pop this baby up in here. And what? That can't be right. Hello? Stand by. I might have an important message from my employer. Nope. Junk. All right. Something's wrong with my revenue. I have an error in my revenue, I think. Because if that number is true, I'm really disappointed. It's not looking good. You guys want to see it? How many people are on here? 88. That's how many people were on here when I shut the door last time. You guys want to see it? It's a lot more disturbing to look at. Okay, here we go. So it's only half what I thought I made. So I spent $400,000 to make $76,000. You see that date? That's not right. Let me go back to the beginning. There's my first YouTube video. So from April 14th, 2021. So that's just a couple weeks beyond 5 years, right? Right? A couple months over 5 years. I made $76,000. I spent $400,000 to get there. So you're not going to get rich, even if you're semi-famous. Because I'm semi-legit. Get it? Because I do semis, and I'm semi-famous, right? Because I have 70. Let me find my overview. Let me find my dashboard. Where's my dashboard? I have 77,341 subscribers. I had 77,700 subscribers a month ago. And just in the last 28 days, I'm down 17, which is a low number. And look at my revenue. Where's my finger? There it is. Look at my revenue for the month. Right there. $719. Pretty good, right? You rich? You want to be a rich YouTuber? You want to take on 4 extra full-time jobs for 5 years for $76,000 bucks? What do you think? So now think about that for a minute. You want to know how much your it's this. Nobody likes to talk about this. So let me lay it on you, because we're just a small group anyways. Not a lot of people watch this, so we won't upset all the rich people. But I'm going to go back to my analytics. I'm going to show you my lifetime views, because it's actually pretty respectable. I'm going to move this sway bar up here to lifetime. Okay. See my lifetime views? 12,044,981. 12 million views. $76,000. And I am the lowest paid tier out there. As you become famouser and your videos are nailing like million, 2 million, 3 million views per video, 8 to 10 videos a month, you make 10 times more than me per view. So I'm on the lowest tier of view pay, right? 12 million views, 75,000 bucks. Go and look at your most famous YouTuber and see that they're doing, let's say, 30 million views a month, which is twice as many views as I have. That would be $150,000 a month at my pay, but they're making 10 times more per view than me. So go do that math real quick, and then you'll know why people that are famous on YouTube can buy racetracks and $1 million airports or multi-million-dollar airports and $1 million cars. You want to know something else? I'm going to expose some other shit. You want to know, when those people are giving away a car and 50,000 bucks? You know what I mean, right? See it all the time. There's 100,000 of them going on a month. And people are like, oh, we're going to give away this brand new ZR1 Corvette and $50,000 in cash. They net profit more than $1 million on each one of those giveaways. After all the advertising, you know how much it costs to advertise on Facebook? If you see that, let's just use an example. Let me pick one out right now that's going on. I don't even want to talk about Gas Monkey Garage, how much money that dude makes for a giveaway. And I probably couldn't even put an accurate figure on there, but I'll bet it's more than $5 million profit on everything he gives away. I can't think of one. I can't think of one specifically that I could refer to, but for example, if I were to give away a truck, just little James Pretty with his 70,000 subscribers, which 6.5% of those people actually watch. If I were to give away a truck and let's say I had, oh, Murphy's Towing. That's a great one. We'll talk about Murphy here in a minute. That dude is making so much money. Good for him, dude. Seriously. Good for him and including the family. Shit, yeah. If I were to give away a truck right now and I said, hey, we're going to run a truck giveaway for 30 days and it's going to be based on merch, I would, if I gave away Crystal's worth $30,000 to me, but I would sell Crystal for 20 because I'm just over it. If I were to say I'm going to give Crystal away, we're on a merch sale for 30 days, I'd lose $19,975 on that deal. Just saying. Oh boy. Justin Bieber only got what he got because of who he got it with. I mean, God, he's talented as hell. He could have made it without that, but he blew up because of who he palled with. Murphy's Towing. Cletus makes more than $1 million in everything he does. Cletus makes a lot of money. Cletus got to be making. Jesus Christ. I can't even fathom Cletus because Cletus owns his own merch business. Not only does he do YouTube and makes millions on YouTube alone from ad revenue, he owns his own merch company. So all of his merch he's making when I sell something, let's say I sell you a $50 shirt, you buy a $50 shirt from me, I get $8. When Cletus sells a $50 shirt, he gets $39. Okay. So, and when Cletus puts a shirt up, I can't remember the statistic. I think one time he did a shirt and sold like 50,000 shirts in a weekend or something. Can you imagine that? 50,000 times $30. So I don't know what Bruce does. And I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. I have no idea because he's very quiet about his business. I have no idea what he could net on a giveaway. I can't guess. Yeah, 600,000. 600,000 in the first 4 days, Sam's spray wax. So think about that, guys. I love Sam. Sam's super cool. I bought some of Sam's products. I bought the gun oil. Okay. But you're telling me that Sam's product is worth so much that he sold 600,000 fucking dollars worth in 4 days? That's the power of Cletus. So if Sam can make $1 million in 4 days, you see what I'm saying, right? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Cletus does $1 million a week probably, and he could probably deny that, and I don't know because all I can do is look at the numbers that I see and go, holy shit. Yeah. Appreciate that, brother. Oh man, you'd be surprised how many people watch you drive a lumber truck, brother. Yep, it does, Gil. Look, man. I'm not taking anything away from Cletus. Cletus went from being a kid, like a child, to being like one of the most, in my opinion, respected, straight up dudes on the internet. The stuff that he does for charity and just for humankind is freaking remarkable, dude. I'm not, if Cletus made $10 million a day, I'm not going to say he isn't worth it because the guy's amazing. And, we're the ones paying him, yeah. Yeah. Even Cletus owns an airport. Ain't nothing on an airport. Yep. That's another thing about YouTube. YouTube is really hard on you emotionally. Um, and for many different reasons, dude. Like you pour hundreds of hours of your time into your channel and nobody watches. And that sucks, dude. Like I to go from 82,000 views while I pressure wash a truck to fucking 80,000 views on 8 or 10 videos of me spending $100,000 and 1,000 hours working on a truck is hard on you emotionally, man. And then so for me, for haters, when I first started getting haters, I took it personally, and now I just think the person's jealous because why would you even bother watching my shit if you really hate me that much? So now I kind of get a kick out of haters, but it's still hard on you. Nobody wants to pour their heart into something and then somebody say, "Well, that thing sucks. Why did you half-ass that?" Or what, somebody who's never done anything in their whole life. So that's difficult. And then the money aspect. You know how much I have in cameras? We want to talk about cameras. I have SSD hard drives, little half a terabyte, terabyte, and 2 terabyte, and 4 terabyte SSD drives. I think I'm paying right now 400 or $399 for a 4 terabyte SSD drive. I've got like 55 of those things. Um, Camera batteries, those little micro SD cards, all of the stuff you need to make all that stuff work together. Software, cameras. On DJI alone, first of all, let's talk about GoPros that are junk. I got $7,000-8,000 of GoPro stuff that's just garbage. I've got in DJI probably at like, because I just bought the Nano, that thing that I clip on my hat. So I'm at like counting the drone, I'm at like $5,500. This computer right here that I'm on, this one right here, $2,500, and it's because I was trying to edit while I was sleeping in Incheon one day, and I was so tired, and I'm like, "Fuck it, I'm going to sleep," and I shut the lid, and the end of this cord was in where the lid closes, and it shattered the screen. Nope, I was in Japan. I was in Nagoya, and I was right in the middle of editing, so I had to run right down to the Apple store and buy a new one because you can't get a screen. Nobody stocks it. So they sent my old one in, and I bought this new one. So now I have two. um, what else is super expensive? For the first 4 years that I was doing trucks, I was spending over $100,000 a year at Fleet Pride alone. Um, my parts bill is considerably lower now. Maybe in 25, I spent maybe 48,000 at Fleet Pride. I spent so much at Fleet Pride that last year they called me and asked how they could earn my business back. And I spent $48,000 there, and they're like, "Well, what can we do to earn back your business, James?" See what I mean? And then let's see. Well, I spent $80,000 on that trailer, and the thought process behind buying the trailer was I was going to incorporate it into the channel somehow. But like right after I pulled the trigger, the channel like died, and I panicked and leased the trailer to Tim to be able to make the payments because I didn't want to have to pay the payments out of my paycheck because I was using all my paychecks from work to work on trucks. And so I leased the trailer to Tim. And then let's see what else. Hmm. Uh, Brad, I'm a airline pilot. I'm a Boeing 777 captain for Coletta Air, and I'm all cargo. Brent, there are people who film and edit on their iPhone, and some of them successfully. Matter of fact, I think Cletus did it uh, for a long time. I think he was making, um, I'm quite sure he was making more than 100,000 a month and still editing on an iPhone, but you'd have to ask him. I'm speculating. I do have sponsorship from Four State. The only reason why you guys don't know that is because you don't read the descriptions on the videos, because they're not readily available. You see just the title, and you'd actually have to click on the description to see all the people that sponsor me. I did get a Four State sponsorship when I was at Matt's. Um, a couple of YouTubers were um, advocating for me, and were successful. And the only reason why you haven't seen anything about that on my channel is because I haven't um, produced anything new since we made the deal. And what, by saying that, the footage was already shot prior to the agreement, the footage you're seeing now. So in future videos, like when I get out of this stinking hotel and get back home and start filming, I'll do some Four State advertisement. Um, and I have not used anything from Four State. The last thing you'll see me get that I got from Four State were the fuel tanks for Marla, and those cost $3,000, and I paid for them. No discount. I didn't even use, I'm so disappointed because I didn't even use Chad's discount because I didn't think about it when I ordered it, because I thought we were going to have a deal worked out, and I had till 5 o'clock p.m. to purchase the tanks or I wouldn't get them before Matt's, and I hadn't worked out the deal with Four State. And so I said, it doesn't matter. I need those fuel tanks. So I just knee jerk reaction, press send on the order. And I didn't even use my best buddy's discount code. And so I paid full price, $3,117 and some change for those fuel tanks. But I do have some sponsors. Valve Performance Solutions sponsored me a bunch of stuff for Marla, a bunch of engine stuff. Radiator Supply House, those guys gave me the cooling pack for Marla as a huge expense, and I was trying to get a discount from them, and they were like, you know what, we're going to give you a discount. I'm like, oh man, that's great. And they're like, we'll have it at your house on Thursday. And I was like, what? How much are you? And they said, we'll have the cooling pack at your house Thursday. Is that soon enough? And I was like, are you shitting me? Radiator Supply House. Dude, amazing people. Just saying. When you hear Wayno or anybody else referring you to Radiator Supply House, this is the most stand-up people that I know. Let's see, who else is on there? Stainless Diesel. Johnny and the boys over at Stainless Diesel, they gave me a substantial sponsorship on that turbo for Marla. And even before we talked about it, I went to school. Well, I went to different schools together with Johnny Gilbert. I went to Sturgis and he went to White Pigeon, and we've been friends since right after graduation. We were kind of like rival schools, I guess you'd call it. And I merged over to White Pigeon for personal reasons, and I met a bunch of good guys over there, and I think most of us are still friends. And Johnny and I and the rest of the group, we were like drag racers and doing stuff around performance. And Johnny took it like straight up, made some what I think are some pretty substantial records in the diesel business. And when I was thinking about turbos, even before the Marla project, I reached out to him. He's been a great help technically, and now when I bought that turbo, I said I want this turbo, and he's like, well, this is how much those cost. And I was like, ouch. And he's like, but I'll give it to you for this. And I was like, right on. So kudos to Stainless Diesel. And let's see what else we got. We got Partsam. As far as all of my lighting stuff, I get all of my lighting stuff from Partsam. They've been a sponsor of mine since the first roof lights I put on. I think those were on Trisha. All right, Soda Pop 8408. Roger. We'll see you next time, brother. me catch up a little bit. Let's see who else we got. Stainless diesel, radiator supplies, house. Fleet Pride doesn't do anything for me anymore, so we don't worry about them guys. Shoreline Industries. Those guys do the heater boxes for trucks, heater and AC boxes. They were like, we were going to do something for K100C models. They already do an E model box, but they were going to do a C model box. They took my C model box out of Crystal, and then they decided they weren't going to be able to produce them economically enough for the amount of people that were going to order them. So instead of building new ones, they just remade mine for me. Great company to work with. And matter of fact, I'm probably going to buy a new Shoreline box for Marla. Who else is out there? I've got some sponsors, and I appreciate everything they do for me. And you know what? For the most part, I was buying the stuff from them before they started sponsoring me. So it isn't like somebody just randomly said, "Hey, I'm going to give you $1,000 worth of shit." So talk about me for the rest of your life. So if I'm telling you that a company is good, it's because they really are. Let's see what else I miss. Yeah, Pup, I get it. Okay, so let's see. What's my opinion on the magic number? There's no magic number subs wise. Because actually, I should have been in the money 2 years ago. If you have 50,000 subscribers and you get 25,000 views per video, and you're making 8 videos to 10 videos a month, you're making $15,000 to $25,000 a month, and that's really was my only goal. I wanted to make $25,000 a month so that I didn't have to spend $25,000 a month out of my paycheck to fund the habit. But I just never got there. My best month was like $5,500, and that was the month that tricked me into thinking I hit the algorithm and life was going to be cherry, and it actually was for a little bit. But I just wasn't able to. I wasn't able to carry the torch once I got it. No, I don't have any play buttons. You have to have 100,000 views or 100,000 subs, and I was gaining on 78,000, and then I lost. Let's see, I think last month I lost 240 subs. The month before I lost 375 subs. This month what was my number? I can't remember. 70? Am I down 70 for the month? For the rolling 30 days? Oh no, I'm only down 17 for the rolling 28 days. That's not horrible. That's actually quite good. Somebody messaged me. Who was it? Oh, I see what's happening there. So Devlin Marshall just messaged me. You guys know who that is? He's the guy that bought Fiona, and he just sent me a picture of a 3D printer hard at work. So what I think is probably going on is he's 3D printing some new dash panels. I think the last thing he was doing was redoing the whole entire wiring and all of the instrumentation for Fiona. Huge undertaking. Brad, I have made some videos. There's a couple on the channel, but I'm not really allowed to. We subcontract, we subcontract, we do something for other companies, right? And so we can't really social media the stuff we do because, we're bound by all kinds of disclosure agreements. And so if I walked around our airplane and I did a walk around and kind of talked about the things that we look for prior to a trip. And then I showed what the inside of the airplane looks like. And then I videoed some other stuff. And they put the kibosh right on that. So there's nothing I can really do, aviation wise. There was a time. So in 1999, let's call it 2000. In 2000, so I'll back up a little bit. So I started working at General Motors / becomes American Axle Manufacturing around 94. Back then you could get a UAW job if you had relatives that were there. You could just get a job because you were related. I married into a GM family and I got a job in the factory. I've always been sort of an entrepreneur style person where I've always had my own side gig going, even when I worked for other people. And so I worked at the factory for 8 years or so. And then I probably can't even talk about that yet. That's probably NDA stuff. I separated from there for certain reasons. And then during the time I was working there, I started an internet company, dial-up internet service, back when you remember when you had to go ding, 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 shh, to get online. And I made quite a bit of money in dial-up internet. And then I sold out to a larger phone company for $1 million. And then they screwed me, never paid me. And so then I was broke and homeless, kind of. And then the person who owned that company that screwed me gave me a house on the lake to live in for a while, weirdly enough. And then, because he didn't do it on purpose. He's just a horrible businessman. Anyways, moving forward, I've been running businesses in the background. So YouTube was really nothing new for me. I'd been successful in several businesses prior and thought that YouTube was just going to be a business and it was going to be, bing, bang, boom, Bob's your uncle. But apparently, when you have to have a customer base of like 2 million people to be able to make a bunch of money, it's a little harder to acquire than just needing a few thousand people paying you $20 a month. Anyhow. Can't comment on Tim's channel because I have no idea what he makes anymore. I used to know, but it was early on when me and Tim met, and I can't remember the number. I'd just tell you, but when me and Tim met at that Walmart, I met Tim in a Walmart parking lot. I had talked to Tim a few times, just comment section stuff and Facebook or something. And then JP, my buddy that I bought the property from, had some, were they Kenworth? I think they were Kenworth Chrome air breathers. And I think Tim had a W9, I think. They might have been Peterbilt, but I think they were Kenworth. And they were for Tim's W9 that he had. And anyways, Tim had mentioned that he had some, and my neighbor had already tried to sell me some. And I was like, I reached out to Tim and said, I got a set. I'll sell you right now for like $1,000 or something. And he's like, I'll take them. And I'm like, well, I don't know where you are. And he's like, just meet me at this Walmart. And so I ran over to JP's and I got those air cleaners from JP. Now listen, this is James Pretty right here. Normally what a guy would do is if his neighbor or his buddy said, hey, I've got these air cleaners, I'll sell you for $400. And then you sell them to a guy for $1,000, you'd usually give this guy $400 and then go and make yourself some profit, right? But nope, not James Pretty. I said, what do you give me for him, Tim? JP's my friend. What do you give me for him, Tim? I'll give you $1,000. And I think it was $1,000. Might have been 900. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was $1,000. So I went over and said, JP, I can sell those air cleaners for you for $1,000 right now. I got to drive them up to Tim's, which is like 3.5 hours for me. So I drove 40-minute round trip to JP's to get the air cleaners. And then I drove 3 hours and 15 minutes or whatever it was to that Walmart to meet Tim. And I sold him to him for $1,000. And then I drove all the way back to JP's to pay him the money because that's James Pretty. But anyhow, integrity. You know what I'm saying? Integrity. Anyways, but while I was there, me and Tim talked for a couple of hours about YouTube, and he had watched my channel, and we had, talked about money, and Tim's a truck guy, man. You have whatever opinions about him, and we all have opinions, and I'm not gonna try and sway him either way. I'm just saying he's a truck guy, and he really does dig trucks, and I dig trucks, so we automatically got along, right? And he shared with me his YouTube analytics, like I just did with you, and it was remarkable. I'll just say, and I don't remember the numbers, or I'd just say it to you, but it's pretty remarkable compared to what I was making. So I can't answer your question. Yep, he drove America up there. Yep. TRX is gone forever. They aren't even looking for it anymore. The insurance company screwed me. I lost $30,000 on that truck, plus a whole bunch of irreplaceable stuff that was in the truck. So it's still kind of a sore subject. That's right. Thanks, brother. Outlaw for life. What's up, Benjamin? Nothing, just complaining, living the dream, the YouTube dream, having fun. JP has offered many times to compensate me for anything that I've sold for him. JP is a straight up dude. And, he has given me plenty of things for free, like tons of truck parts and stuff. He's just given me for free. JP owes me nothing. JP is a wonderful person and a dear friend. And I've never had a problem with any dealing we've done. JP is a straight up guy. And you know what? He's a straight up guy. Even if we weren't friends, I would still tell you he's a straight up guy. Yeah. And I will use those someday, brother. Right now, if you ask me where they are, I can't even tell you. I think they're still in Marla because I just have been so crazy trying to get moved. I don't even know where anything is. Oh, Gil, that's awesome, Bob. Oh man. Yeah, I'm laid back on this chair, this hotel. Anyways, I won't get into it. I don't want to complain any more than I already have today. No, basically, Pup, what I was saying is that I'm a straight up dude, right? And so I try to have integrity. And if I can help a buddy out, I will help a buddy out. I won't tell somebody I could only get him X for this. I will help a buddy out. And JP has integrity, and he will do it as well. Believe me, 100%. Me and JP are kind of like oddballs, right? Because we're really not in the same age group. But JP is such a good person. I got introduced to JP at a truck show, and the guy that I had bought that cut up Freightliner from, I was working on the Kenworths, I think at the time, and I was at the show, and I didn't know JP, and I didn't know he was there, and I didn't know his wife, and I didn't know any of his people, and I was looking for some parts, and the guy was like, "Man, you need to go talk to little Jay." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, this guy down here at the Speederbelt, yada yada yada. He probably has those parts." And I went down there, and I don't remember if Dave introduced us or if I introduced myself or how, but me and JP just started talking, and it was kind of like we had already been friends. You know what I mean? One of those situations. And JP had a lot of stuff out there on his property, and he still, even though he didn't know me, he trusted me, and he brought me in to look at his treasures. Now, to get the chance to look at somebody else's treasures is tough. So JP kind of accepted me and took me in and showed me his treasures, and we have been good friends ever since. Um, I got nothing I can say other than that. He is a great person. He has helped so many people. Like, he is from old school trucking. Old school trucking. I mean, you're going down the highway, and there's a truck's got some triangles up and the hood's up, and within 5 minutes, 5 trucks are pulled off the side of the road, and everybody's down there working on that guy's truck. I'm talking about that kind of old school trucking. So JP has always had that help a person out spirit. And so, yeah, JP is a great dude. Great dude. Um, I've learned a lot of stuff from JP too. So, yeah, anyways, that's that. That's how me and JP became friends. Yep, Benjamin's still flying. GMCs are out there. Sterlings, I don't see very many. I don't know whatever happened to that. Kind of crazy. Man, we've been on here 2 hours already. Let's talk about other stuff with YouTube. Um, there's ways you can manipulate your YouTube channel that I just don't do. Um, let's call it clickbait, and what else? Clickbait and bullshit. Let's call it clickbait and bullshit, right? I should do a whole segment on that. A guy can. I'll give you a prime example. Cole, the corn star. You guys know him? I'll wait. Cole, the corn star. I'll even write it. Cole. That guy right there. You guys know him? Cole, the corn star. So Cole, I used to watch this kid, young guy, um, from Legacy Farming out in Iowa. Legacy farming. You know what legacy farming is? Where your granddad's granddad owned the farm, and it was like 100,000 acres or whatever. So, like, legacy farming. And all of that was an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. Talking about huge family legacy farming. And Cole was a young kid, and I'm guessing 20, might be 26, might be 19. I don't remember. I'm guessing 20 years old. And I started watching Cole because he had inherited a grandparent's farmhouse, and it was run down, and he was old enough, and it was already his anyways. So he started refurbing this farmhouse, and that's how I found Cole the Corn Star. Well, during watching his channel, I started watching older episodes, and then he was making more episodes, and it was incorporating life on the farm and stuff that he did. And I had much respect for this kid, his work ethic, and he's a great YouTube personality. He's got a great personality, and he's everything about it I liked. He was one of the people that I watched on YouTube. And you know what irritated me to the point where I just stopped watching the dude is every thumbnail and every title was bullshit. And it was like, dad got hurt in an accident at the farm. And I was like, oh my God. I was like upset because his dad was like a major star of this production that's gotten hurt on the farm. And you know what it was? He'd staged this. He'd left the barn door down to about this level behind him. And he was like pretending like he was working on something. And he went to turn around and bonked his head on the garage door. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I was like, you know what? I've been watching this kid and seeing his stupid uh, thumbnails and all this clickbait, and this was just the last straw. I mean, the kid probably made shit. I haven't even looked at his channel in years. Maybe he doesn't do it anymore, but he was already making 20, 30, $40,000 a month probably. But I'm just one of those guys. I don't want the BS. And so I don't do the BS on my channel. If I have a title that says, let's talk about loyalty, I'm going to blow my top in the first 10 minutes of that video. And if I write that somebody got hurt, well, they probably ran through a engine on an airplane, because I'm just not going to bullshit on my thumbnails and my titles. And then, that's probably why I'm not successful, because somehow, even though I don't like it, everybody else in the world does. Does he still, Adam? That's funny. Yeah, Eva, I'll tell you, the KTA seems like it could be pretty cool. I wish I had one. JP used to have one. Before I met JP, he had one that was all chromed out and big horsepower, and they sold it prior to me meeting him. Pup, I appreciate that, dude. And, that's why I try to be real, because I want it to be that way. But the problem is there's just no money in it. You got me unfiltered for, what was that, 4 minutes and 17 seconds before I shit the bed. Man, listen, man, I want to say I'm a super nice guy and I don't get upset, but I'm just an asshole, and I get it. I try to keep it clean on the channel because I want people to be able to watch it, even if their kids are in the room. But I blow my top. It happens. Well, I mean, I appreciate that, dude. Like I said, there's 5 or 6% of my base that watches, and I do appreciate it. Believe me, if I didn't have you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. All right, I'd just be talking to myself. There's this guy. Let's talk about him for a minute. There's this guy that started YouTube about the time that I started YouTube, and he is a nice guy, dude. And he does a lot of stuff. And he does some, body work and construction and stuff like that. And he calls his channel Allison Customs. And we started right around the same time. And I think we both had like 100 subs when the other one had 100 subs. And I watched his channel, and he just doesn't get any views. And I have no idea why. I mean, he doesn't suck, but nobody watches this shit. I mean, nobody. Look up Allison Customs, and just like, some of the stuff he does is super interesting. Every video can't be super interesting, or it's not real life. You guys agree with that? Because even if I was the best mechanic in the world, I still have to do brakes, right? And brakes are just not interesting. You guys don't want to watch me put hubs and drums and brake shoes on another semi. I've done it 14 times, right? So I get it that content gets boring. I only make the content because I feel like let's do this. If I put brakes on a truck and I show the video of the whole brake job, and then a month later I'm doing brakes on a truck, and if I don't make that video, then I'm not giving you a video that day. And I feel like I'm cheating you out of the video. So I'll make the same video on a different truck. And then if you don't watch it, then I'm like, well, at least 1,500 people watched it. But it's real. In real life, shit gets boring. You can't have a Willet start every 2 days. I don't know how you guys are watching Wiley. If you watch Wiley, I don't know how you can do it. I don't know how many times you can watch the same guy say the same words and do the same job over and over and over again and be hard on equipment. Oh, people who are hard on equipment kill me. But anyways, I don't want to go whining about it. Nice, Brent. I don't know, Seth. I used to say that too. I used to be like, these guys are buying views, they're buying subs. But Like, and I know obviously Mr. Beast and uh, Cletus and those guys aren't buying any subs or views anymore, if they ever were. But we'll use Murphy. You go watch any one of Murphy Diesel's videos. He's got 300,000 views in 7.5 hours. And these are numbers I'm just pulling off of the air. Dude, I don't even know how that's possible. I have no idea how that's possible. Yeah, for sure, Yuba. It's making oil. This thing's making oil. Wiley got mad at me because, never mind. I'm not going to say it. It doesn't matter. I'm a Hank and Wiley fan. When Hank and Wiley were together, I watched them every video. And Hank is a good friend, and Hank has offered me tutelage. I'm just not a production guy. Sorry. I've never watched a full episode from Zip Ties and Bias Plies. I don't know. And see, that's the other thing, right? I can't get mad at people for not watching me because we're all individuals. There are people who I used to watch all the time who I don't watch anymore because just at some point in time I was just like, I'm past it. Check out Cole. And look, dude, before I got irritated by the clickbait, it's good content. The kid is good at production. He's got a great personality. His family unit is nice. Like, it was good to watch. It just because he didn't need the clickbait, it was just like I don't want to watch this anymore because everything is staged. I want to see what Cole's life is. I missed out because I never got to see him finish the farmhouse. Um, Create 208. You guys check him out. Create 208. And again, I'm going to call him a kid. He's not a kid. He's an adult, but I'm an old man. So Create 208 is this kid who's an electrician. He lives in Colorado. He built a barn dominium. I think he paid for it twice with YouTube. And then he just stopped because he just wanted to build this badass house. And then I think at one point in time, he thought, man, this is cool, but I'm still just 28 or whatever, and I want to do something else. So he put the house up for sale, and then they made a few YouTube videos to kind of pump it up. And I don't know whatever happened. Create 208. Check it out. If you start at the beginning of Create 208's channel and you don't watch it all the way to the end of the barn dominium build, then I was wrong. But I would be willing to bet if you're into that, anything to do with that, you'll watch that kid until he's moved into the place. Yeah, Weston makes like $5 million a year and doesn't do shit, and his video sucks. And I can't stand to listen to his fake ass anymore. And I loved Weston. When I first started watching Weston, I was like, I want to be that dude's friend, even though we're like 35 years apart in age. I was like, I want to be his friend. He is so cool. And now when I hear him doing that fake excitement or whatever you want to call that stuff, it makes me nauseous. And I turn off the video. I just don't understand. And he's making megabucks. Waldo rebuilds cars. Never heard of it. Did I mention how much I appreciate Sleeper Dude? I know I did, but that's good, wholesome channel right there, Sleeper Dude. I'm envious of the whole thing. Yeah, yeah, Andrew Camarada. You know, started watching him when he built the castle, and then just okay. I'll be real with you for a second. Well, I will get into those guys in a second too, pup. Don't let me forget that. Andrew Camarada. I am totally into somebody who starts a YouTube channel, buys a little bit of land, and builds a castle shipping containers, right? Shipping container castle. That's what he did. And then buys some equipment and starts making your dream come true. I love it. You know what torques my bolts all the way to 1,000 is somebody who whines that they don't have any money when I know they're killing it on YouTube. I'm going to say his name, and you're just going to be like, oh, you can't talk bad about him. Matt. I'm just going to use his name, not his channel name. Matt pisses me off whining about money. Dude whined about it cost $50,000 to run electrical to his building that was like 2 miles off the road. And he whined about it when I know he was making more than $50,000 from YouTube every single month. And he whined about it like he had to start a savings account and refinance his old Chevy pickup truck and then borrow money from his dead Aunt Ida for 50 grand to put the power out to his shop. I do not make 10 times the normal person's monthly income and then pretend you're broke to get people to feel bad to buy your merch so you make more money. I don't like that. You don't know who I'm talking about? You know who I'm talking about, Matt. Matt. You guys know who I'm talking about, right? Okay. And you said the bad words. Let me tell you something that dude told me. Like I reached out to him one time and I was like, dude, yeah, absolutely did. And after he screwed us on that church deal, don't get me mad. Don't get me started. I'm gonna back down. So listen, I reached out to this guy because my channel was faltering. And I said to him, I'm like, listen, I totally respect you on YouTube. I said, I'm desperate, dude. Like, just look at my channel and just look over the last, 15 or so videos and see this downward trend. I'm in a spiral. I'm in a death spiral. And I ain't gonna be able to pull out of it. Help me. And you know what that jerk said to me? You want to know what he said to me, that jerk? He told me if my shit was interesting, people would be watching it. What? Are you kidding me? How many times are you going to buy an old junk 671 and start it up and then put it in a pile with the rest of your garbage you never do anything with? And then you're going to tell me if my stuff was interesting? Are you serious? Like, how many things has he ever finished? Has he ever finished anything? The coolest thing he's got is that Vice. You guys know what I'm talking about. Anyways, Matt. Whatever. He's got his dream house. Good for him. Yeah, he really said that to me, dude. If my shit was interesting, people would be watching it. He didn't offer me any like, dude, you should use the drone and do a little intro and maybe play a tune. I could hook you up with the semi super villains and they could make you a theme song and you could be. No, he just said my shit sucks. If my stuff was interesting, people would watch it. I finished my projects. How many trucks have I finished, guys? How many trucks did I do in the last 2 years? You know what I'm saying? My shit is interesting. If my shit was interesting, people would watch it. So let me tell you something about Diesel Creek, though, now that we're talking about him in real life, because stop calling him Matt. Dude, super successful. When he had 400,000 subscribers, maybe 385,000 subscribers, every video that he made had 395,000 views. Think about that for a minute. 110% of his base watched every video. 6% of my base watched my video. Think about that for a minute. If my base watched my videos, I would already be at 1 million views or 1 million subscribers because I could afford to do crazy videos like Murphy. let's talk to Murph. Let's talk about Murph. I'm gonna say some stuff about Murphy now that might get me beat up if we ever meet each other. But Murphy didn't ask permission to come into Georgia to buy those military vehicles. Georgia belongs to me, right? I don't come out there to New Mexico and buy stuff and make videos on Murphy's territory, right? He come into my state and bought military vehicles, and he didn't even ask me, and he didn't say hi when he drove by. And I reached out to him after that. I was like, yo, hello, did you just come to Georgia and not swing over to James Pretty's house? Because what's up with that? And he was just like, LOL. What? Are you killing me or what? This guy came all the way to Georgia, didn't even bother to be like, dude, we should swing over to James Pretty's just for a minute so I can check out Marla and we'll get out of here. And I call him out on it. He just LOL'd me. I'm like, does he not know that James Pretty is Georgia? He can't come there without saying hi? The disrespect. Anyways, on a serious note, though. Me too, right? I was like, he's coming to Georgia. He has to know who I am. I've commented on his videos. He has to know me. Oh, remind me, Hack Nation. Remind me of Hack Nation. You guys know who Hack Nation is, right? Remind me when I'm done talking about Murphy. So I hit him up and he just LOLs me and I'm like, he doesn't even know who I am. He doesn't know I exist. I was so disappointed. I don't know why I thought he would know me. But I thought maybe because I was doing trucks and, towing and trucking and all that is kind of okay. I think that was set up. I didn't say that. I just think that I thought that he should know who I was. I thought I was semi-famous and that maybe he'd at least, give me the props to come and look at one of my trucks or something. Anyways, Murphy, if you're watching, bro, which I know you're not because you don't even know who I am, I got nothing bad to say about you, dude, other than you don't really have to put in drama shots on every. We know who you are, dude. We're gonna watch your video. If that's the thing that kills me, right? You'll use Murphy for an example because he does it all the time. Okay. Listen, he could put a black frame that says Murphy on every thumbnail, and he's still going to have 1.5 million subscribers in the next 3 years. James Pretty said that. You guys believe me, right? You know what I'm saying, right? You don't, when you're at that level, do you have to do the clickbait thumbnail? We're going to watch the show, bro. We dig the cool tow trucks and all the fancy stuff you buy. I did not like the stupid cab over on the 10-wheeler thing or whatever that was. Dude, that thing sucked. Anyways, other than that, I'm done with that. Let's see. I won't say anything about Shimon because I've never watched the video and I never talked to the guy. I'll talk about Justin. I got nothing bad to say about Justin, dude. I think Justin's videos are as real as mine. And maybe I haven't seen every video and maybe there's some pretend stuff out there, but all it seems like to me is it's a dude who loves his family and trucks for a living and shares on YouTube. So I got nothing bad to say about Just Trucking. And I've heard some people attacking him out on the internet. I don't know why. I think maybe they're jealous because his wife is attractive. I don't know. I watch him. I've talked to him. I don't know if we talked on the phone. Did we talk on the phone? I can't remember if we talked on the phone or if it was just through Marketplace when I wanted to buy the cab over. That wasn't for sale. That kind of pissed me off a little bit, just saying. But other than that, instance of the cab over not being for sale after I decided I was buying it. I have nothing bad to say about him. I think he's a straight up dude, and I think he's a hard worker, and I think he loves his family, and I think the fact that he puts YouTube on the back burner gives me even more respect for him. So that's how I feel about him. I haven't watched Murphy in a while. I have been YouTube absent because of the struggles with Marla in preparation for Matt's, and that I think that even cost me a great friendship as well. So yeah, unfortunate that I had all the trouble with Marla, and that created so much problems between me and people that I thought. Uh, anyways, I'm gonna get mad again, so we'll leave that out. Nice. So I get that, pup. And that's why I've grown away from some other YouTubers that I used to watch, because I watch for a particular reason. They branched off into something else, and I just stopped watching. But I don't normally complain either, and I've been doing nothing but complaining today. So I hope you guys don't lose respect for me and move on. But sometimes I have to say all this shit. YouTube is hard on me. Um, and if it wasn't for the people who watch, I'd be gone, because it sucks. It sucks financially. It sucks mentally. It sucks physically. Um, Everything about it sucks. This part that we're doing right now is why I do this job. Um, so that's what I'll say about that. Um, Don McCord. Do you know Don's one of my good friends? Um, you can't make a YouTube channel without consistency, unless you're amazing at Showtime. You can take a guy who's not very consistent, but he has an amazing show, and he'll be a successful YouTuber. You can have a guy that has an amazing guy, but he's not good at show, and you're not going to make it in YouTube. Don is busy. He's the breadwinner. He's the mechanic. He's the everything. He's the dad. He's the husband. And you can't do all of those things and YouTube at the same time and still get anything done. And so Don's social media suffers, and that's just the way it works. When you got all the other responsibilities, the Showtime is secondary. Don's a great guy. Nope, I don't know who Casey is. Hack Nation. How many people know who I mean when I'm talking about Hack Nation? Just give me a little something there in the chat, because if nobody knows them, I'm not going to waste my time. Good, perfect. So we'll just move on from him. Who will we talk about now? CNC equipment. Don't know who it is. Nope, I've never heard of him. If I can remember later, I'll look. I'm actually glad nobody knows Sack Nation, because that's a long deal. He's more of a TikTok dude than anything else. He doesn't really do YouTube. Um, I think I could grow if 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 I had a social media manager. I think I could probably grow the channel pretty hardcore. Um, because you need to post on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and you need to post 2, 3, 4 times a day, 7 days a week, 365 a year. And I think if I'd have done that from the go, I might be more popular, but I just don't have time to do it. And that kind of sucks. Yeah, I get that, Brent. Yeah, I think so too. Eva. I don't watch that 352 thing much. I think the last couple videos I watched of him, he was at a hotel and the shit snowed like a foot or two on it, and he did a cold start. I think that was the last thing I watched. Yep, we talked about Easy Rider a while back. He was a great YouTuber. I watched every one of his videos. I wish he still was doing trucks and YouTube, but he realized early on that you can't make a living off of YouTube unless you're one of the elite that just happens to make it happen. And I still don't know what the difference is. I really enjoyed Ezra's Big Red series, and I even watched all of his normal mechanic stuff because he's a great mechanic. I'm kind of like um um shit, truck and tractor repair. Come on, help me. You guys know what I'm talking about. He's out in Dakota or something. You know what I'm talking about. Truck and tractor repair. What's his name? Single mechanic guy, got a service truck and a shop, and he's good. He's probably one of the best mechanics on the internet. And his channel struggles. A lot of times he's got a greasy lens, so you can't really see good. But what is it? Western truck and tractor repair. Is that it? Is that it? Let me just look. It's gonna kill me if I don't look. I can't believe it's slipping my mind. Old man troubles over here. You know what I mean? I think it's Western Truck and Tractor Repair. Is it? Is anybody on there with me? Let's see. No nonsense, no how. Cab over Freightliner sitting for a few years. 250,000 views in 9 days. Get the boop out of here. Yes, Western Truck and Tractor Repair. You guys know what I mean? Yeah, that guy, Klamath Falls, Oregon. That's exactly. I bought my second airplane that I ever owned from Klamath Falls, Oregon. I flew it home. So this guy was really struggling with YouTube for a while, and he's got 128,000 subs now, 1,000 videos out there. He actually was quitting. Um, he was going to quit, and he got on there, and he was kind of a grumpy old turd about it too. He was like, "Yeah, I ain't gonna watch it, then I ain't doing this bullshit no more." And he went from like getting 3,000 and 4,000 views to like 15,000 views on each one. And I'm glad because he's a great mechanic, and I've learned a bunch of stuff from that guy. One of the best mechanics on the internet. That's same with me, brother. I don't know why everybody just doesn't love James Pretty. Dude, I get it. I'm just the old dude that likes to play with junk trucks. I get why people don't want to, jump on the bandwagon. I'm not Cletus, and I'm not, doing crazy extravagant shit. I'm just doing truck stuff, and it sucks a little bit, but JC Smith, yeah, good friend of mine. I mean, as far as the internet goes, met him a few times in real life at Matt's, and he gave Marla the once over and checked me on quite a bit of electrical stuff. And the dude's super smart. I've got much respect for JC Smith. Much respect. Dude's amazing, amazing truck builder. Um, yeah, yeah. We talked about that earlier, Timothy. Steve's just, he's busy. He'll be back. What's up, James? Not sure if I said hi to you when you got on or not. That's so funny. How to properly eat potato chips. Interesting. Yeah. Oh boy. JC's got to get real work done too, right? That's his thing. He's got to get that stuff done. So, um, putting out videos is tough. I've said it 100 times already tonight. I know, but it's 4 full-time jobs, and it gets old when the so like you got. I'm going to say you got 3 ways of being compensated for your time on YouTube. You got this. That's one, and you got um, money. Money is 2, and then you got um, personal satisfaction, right? Right? Because that's what you got. Those are the things you can either get paid for doing the shit, you can have camaraderie and for doing the shit, and you can have personal satisfaction for doing the shit. You guys check out that Allison's Customs. It's just a single person in the videos, and he's got a little shop and he works on stuff and um, just he is so underappreciated. Let me just look and see what the status is of his channel. I don't even know. I feel bad for not knowing the status of his channel. Just let me give it a little jingle here. Allison Customs. Allison Customs. Okay, so he's got 11,000 subs. We started around the same time. Let's see his last video.
Back. This is the payoff. This is when the shop finally comes to life.
A day ago, he put out a video of his new shop being fully ready to go, and he got 218 votes, man, or 218 views. He's got 11,000 subs. Is that 0.5%? Dang, man. Yeah, crazy. Warren, yes, Warren. Yep, that dude is amazing. That's that Western truck and tractor. You guys watch that KT 3406E guy? I know you do. Come on. All right, Billy. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, send me some pictures of that truck, brother. Okay, KT 3406E. Yeah, it's still sitting there. The reason why that truck's still there because the guy wants 14,000 for it, and it's a $6,000 truck, and he won't sell it. I offered him $10,000 for it many times, and he will not sell it. So, anyways, let's go back to KT 3406E. In my opinion, the most knowledgeable Caterpillar mechanic in the world. And you know why I say that? Because I don't know a whole bunch of them. But I'm going to call him a kid, and I'm not being disrespectful. I'm an old man. I can call young men kids. He's fucking amazing, dude. Like I will not miss a video that this guy puts out. I think the last video I saw was few days, maybe a week ago. He bought some core engines and got them started. What a crazy that kid is amazing. And I've talked to him on the phone. Is this true? We speak on the phone, or did we speak via the internet? I think we did it on the phone. He didn't tune. He helped me tune the 5EK in Crystal. And the kid's just the guy. Sorry, I don't mean any disrespect. The guy's amazing, and he doesn't have to spend an hour on the phone with me and send me files and talk about my junk. He don't owe James Pretty nothing, and that dude would just spend 2 hours with me, getting me through getting that engine running. I have ultimate respect for him. It's in Buckhannon, Georgia, Brad. Let's talk about Adept APE. I've watched about 65% of his stuff. Super disappointed in his stuff since he left Cat. Was he always right? Maybe. But was it about being right for him? No. And see, I think that's one of the things. That's one of the things that I really liked about him is it wasn't about being right, and it wasn't about showboating. It was about, hey, I work for Cat, and I've been here a long time, and I know a lot about cats, and check these ones out. Good dude. Okay, SH2, Rob at SH2. Sorry, Rob at SH2. Great guy. He treats me like I'm an old friend, and I dig that. I dig a guy that will just treat you like an old friend when he sees you, even though we have had hardly any interaction. I brought some booze to the Airbnb and instigated party, and so he was very disappointed in me. And then and then the next time he seemed like he had forgiven me for that, and so he's just always treated me like we've been friends for a long time, and I dig that about him. He's also a great mechanic, and he makes some pretty cool shit as well. I have much respect for Rob. Hamiltonville Farms, already talked about Hank. I consider Hank to be a friend. Hank invited me into his home. He invited me down for a collab and bought me and Jessica lunch, and we hung out for the day, and we went back to his house, and he taught me some stuff about YouTube. He's amazing at YouTube analytics, and he does an amazing production, and he's an amazing guy. And I got much respect for Hank. Much respect. Yeah, he does have a little dry humor, but I think that's why I respect him a lot. Brent, he's just so monotone. He doesn't get excited. I mean, he gets excited. You've seen him beating up those Detroits, blowing shit up. I mean, he gets excited, but he doesn't Weston it. You know what I mean? I don't know how anybody can even watch that guy anymore. Yeah, he's cool. Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I I mean, I'd just be human if I was telling you how much I didn't like Wiley. Dane's a great guy. I hung out with Dane for a few hours at Matt's. Me and Dane had talked on the phone. Man, I cannot remember who I talked to on the phone, who I talked to only on the internet. I think because once I talk to you outside of this forum, I just feel like we've been friends forever. So I just assumed that we've had phone conversations. I can't remember if I think we talked about, yeah, I'm pretty sure that at one point in time, me and Dane were considering that 359 swap with Marla at one point in time. And I think we had a couple of conversations maybe on the phone about it. But Dane has always been an interesting cat. Like, he has his own, he makes his own cool. I don't know if you call that, I don't know what you call that, but he is a very interesting cat. And so initially when I first started watching him, I was like, this guy's kind of interesting. Maybe I'll check out stuff. He's a truck guy, and yeah, I think I can relate. He has got a cool level to him, and he's super good dude. He's exactly And if you can imagine, because like people are different on the internet, I'd like to think that I'm the same guy um, in person as I am on the internet, except for maybe my filter's a little dirty. And Dane is the person you see on the internet, and I think he's super cool dude, and he has super good luck in selling trucks. I often have thought that I should just send my trucks to him and let him sell them because he obviously has the knack. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I just don't like him as a person. I don't know why. I probably shouldn't say that, but you can't like everybody. Everybody doesn't like me. I have coworkers that don't like me, so it's you can't like everybody. We would never be friends. I I'm friends with Hank. He's a great guy. Nothing really wrong with Wiley. I just you know Neil. I didn't even see your message earlier. I was just scrolling back, reviewing, and seeing you talk about the 14 liter. You still in here, Neil? Sorry, man. Sometimes I can't. I don't look at the chat for like 3 minutes, and then I miss like 50 things. Classic large car garage. Ugh. Sorry, that's just me being me. I mean, who the guys think they are? James Pretty or something? Come on. Yeah, Dane does a good job of doing a, a restoration without changing it. I don't know how else to say it. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I just hope they have a huge bankroll because you put that many trucks in a shop and start working on them, you're going to spend $500,000 before you even flick your bick. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know what I'm saying, I can show you my retirement account. Yep, it's gone. But anyways, what are we at? 4 hours? Nope, just 3. Neil, Steve is one of the best production for a guy who drives a truck over the road, has 3, 4, 5 camera views going, and lives in the truck and edits in the truck. His shit is good. He is talented. He has got that shit down. I got nothing I can say on that topic other than that. Matter of fact, when I'm talking to just people in the YouTube group about how to make things better, we often use this as an example. Um, Wayno is good at that too. Yeah, I know, pup, and they'll get it, and I won't. So go figure. Listen, I, I'm going to just say it. If a person's looking for a cab over and they don't buy Crystal, they're dumb. Crystal is solid mechanically. It is like I brought it to the point where you can make it your truck with paint and bodywork and be like, oh, I just built this badass truck. Why is it still sitting in my driveway? Guy told me the other day, well, you want way too much for that truck. I said $10,000 for the engine, $6,000 for the transmission and the clutch, all brakes and bushings in the rear suspension, and there's value in the trucks. How am I how am I overpriced on the truck? Tell me, please, how I'm asking too much for the truck. The engine and the transmission are worth what I'm asking for the truck. Hello? It kills me. Kills me. And don't get me started on that. I need that to be there. Don't get me thinking about how it's not going to be in 9 years when I retire. Dang it, man. I can't do math logic for sure. I can bought 13 semi trucks as a part-time gig at a losing business. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. 10,000 is the core price on that motor. Yeah. And it's mechanically ready to go. A guy asked me the other day, I mean, how are you going to look at my ad on Marketplace and ask me what crystal needs to be roadworthy? Crystal needs everything to be roadworthy, dude. Like mechanically, the truck is solid. Needs some electrical and some body work and a paint job if you want it to be nice. This guy was like, he came up, looked at the truck. He wanted to pull RVs with it, you know. And he's like, oh man, this is great. I think I can do it. I just have to check on insurance. Bro, if $500 a month insurance is too much for you, you in the wrong business trying to buy a semi truck to pull an RV. I'm just saying. Wouldn't you guys agree? Yeah, of course, Sheba, I do. If you ain't got a Peterbilt, you ain't gonna make it in the YouTube world for sure. Truck X will be working someday. I really don't know why I still have Crystal. I thought when I put Crystal out by the road with the sign in the window, I figured it'd be gone in a week. And it's just, I don't know. People are weird, dude. I mean, you're not, if you buy a 1983 Kenworth K100, it's not going to be a 2007 389 Peterbilt with a long hood and a big cat. It's not the same. That's not the truck you were looking at. You were looking at a 1983 cab over. You got to expect it to be a 1983 cab over when you get in it. You know what I'm saying? People do like Rhonda. The problem is that Rhonda is such a piece of shit. Like literally that engine and transmission, that truck. I do not want to put an engine in there, but it's going to need one. It's just not very usable. The pump's all whacked out on that thing. That motor is super tired. We're talking like a whole can of ether to get it started if it's under 30 degrees. I mean, that thing is whooped. The transmission, you can't go from high range to low range unless you're 100% stopped. What else? Oh, that PTO, that shaft drive, PTO chain drive combo thing. Ugh, right? And then that the wrecker, it was pulled back already from way overloading the thing. And then when I was jerking on that 40,000 pound trailer sitting in the weeds, I bent the shit out of that. I bent that whole wrecker thing back so far that it took that chain that was flopping like this and made it straight like it was a bar and turned that chain red. That's how far back. The only thing that kept that thing from ripping off the frame was this tension on that chain, and that is no bullshit. But also, you remember in that video, that one damaged drum was causing all the problems. We couldn't pull with both winches because the drum was bent down. Actually, the drum gear had gotten compacted with such old grease that it actually started pushing that drum down until the teeth would slip. And then once the teeth started slipping, it just ground them right off. And so I paid $1,500 to have that drum rebuilt. And it is it is so perfect and powerful now. It's amazing, actually. Truck X is a nice truck. Let's fix that was to is. Truck X is a nice truck. Let's see. Richard slipped back into British English rating. Oh, yeah, for sure. Rhonda could be cool, but really Rhonda needs a full workover. They need to take that thing down to the chassis and then, pull the engine, everything off it, and then sandblast, prime, and paint the chassis. And then new powertrain, like something. I think that truck probably should get a red top N14, and I think an 8LL would be a great transmission in there. And then, obviously intercooler and all that stuff and fancy schmancy, maybe 6.25 horse. And then I think we should change it from shaft drive to hydraulic PTO. And then we should put like dual hydraulic motors on there instead of the bullshit that's on there. But anyways, I digress. It could be a cool truck. If you want to spend, just like 150,000 on it, it'd be amazing. Well, Adam, that in that trailer's defense, there was an electrical box with one Phillips screw in it, and that was what held up the whole thing. And I know that doesn't seem like that's possible because I was able to unscrew the screw with my fingers, but there was, honest to God, one drywall screw in a 2-gang outlet box screwed to the side of that trailer, and it was up against the side of the post. And that's why we couldn't get that trailer to move. And that is no bullshit, because when we finally got it to move, it actually ripped that corner post off. And when the electrical box cleared the corner post, it pulled right out of there like it wasn't even weighted down. One drywall screw. Yep. Yep, same engine, Neil. Same engine. And that white runs good. I actually thought about pulling that engine out of the white and putting it in Ronda, but I was like, dude, that's so much work for like no real reward. And I don't want to make Whitney worthless. I mean, Whitney's still a pretty cool truck. I don't think I would swap him, pup, being honest. And actually, as far as wreckers go, I'm not talking about a rescue rig, but just for backing up to a truck, slapping a chain on the bar and picking it up and driving it. Rhonda's amazing. I mean, we did some work with Rhonda recently. Yeah. So, okay, I'll just tell you. You saw the video where I brought, you shouldn't use drywall screws. That's 100% accurate. You saw the video when I brought Dolores home, right? But you have not seen the video of me getting Dolores off the trailer. When you saw me put Dolores on the trailer, I broke the air line off of the brake chamber. And so it already had a problem with building air. And then, with that vice grip, it was just going to be a pain in the ass, right? And also what you didn't see is the transmission top. If you rewind your mind back to when I got the transmission, it was a transmission I got at JP, and it was sitting outside and it was full of water. It's a 13-speed transmission. And it didn't have anything on the top plate, and it had rained in that transmission, and it was 100% full of water for years. I took that transmission. I think JP gave me that thing for free, or like $100 or something, dirt cheap. I took it home. I drained the water out. I pressure washed all of the gears and bearings in it, and it all still worked. So I put that transmission in Dolores, and I filled it all the way to the top with gear oil, with old school 80-90 weight. And then I put the top on it. Well, because I had pressure washed the thing, all of the water wasn't really out of it because, all the bearings held water. So when I filled it up with oil, the water that was trapped in the bearings eventually the oil pushed the water out. And so what happens with the water on the oil, right? Uh, so it ended up with some rust in there. And one of the things that rusted was the shifter top, the transmission top plate. And so when we went to pull it out of the hole, the shifter wouldn't work. So I took the shifter top off, and then I realized that shit was all messed up in there. So we just beat it into gear with a punch and a hammer, and then I drove it up on the trailer. Well, when we got the thing over to the ranch, we didn't have any way to get it in reverse. Plus, it wasn't going to have brakes or anything else. So I just said, well, we'll unchain, we'll move Marla and the neck, we'll unchain the truck, and we'll grab it with the wrecker. Dude, I was just about to hook up, and I seen JP coming, and I'm like, yes. So JP came. We got the truck hooked up. Rick raised it up with Rhonda. JP got in that thing, and I towed him out and backed him into its parking spot. And that wrecker works perfect as a tow truck. So I think I'm not going to be in a hurry to get rid of it, and we're not going to do any modifying on it. We're just going to use it as tow truck. And then we moved that other white, and we've been doing some other stuff. So you'll see plenty of Rhonda stuff happening. Pup, I gave that truck to Wayno. I called Wayno right after I had found the water in the oil and said, dude, if you just come get this thing right now, you can have it. And he just didn't want to make the drive. And so now it's not his. And now it'll be somebody else's. I think that is what made Dolores attack me. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. Man, I'm thirsty. I got nothing. I got this old swallow Coke Zero. And you know that's flat. Look at that. There ain't not a bubble in that thing. Oh, that was delicious. That's the proper way to drink a Coke Zero. Let's see. What else? Man, it's been 3 hours and 12 minutes. You guys have been hanging out with me on this Sunday afternoon. That's for sure. So I'm running for a union rep spot at my company. So the next few months are going to be kind of interesting. We've had some, some apparent unethical behavior by the current group. And so we're fixing to make some changes. So maybe in the next few months, I'll be a union rep. Yippee. Just want to do it at my age. But do I make revenue with live video? So there's a couple of ways. Monetization is on, but if you notice, the video advertisements are probably very infrequent because I have it turned to like next to nothing. So yeah. Neil, you missed it, and I'm not going to get into it very much because it's a sensitive subject apparently with me, and it gets me very angry. But it was about loyalty from friends, and I didn't really mention who or what, but anyways, I don't really want to get into it right now. But just some people let me down, and disappointed in them. So yeah, Rhonda's going to be pretty cool. Gil, are you trying to get me back into that mode or what? Yes, it was Ezra from North Dakota. Yeah. I started a live earlier, Neil, and started talking about this subject that was going to be the subject of the live, and I lost my shit and ended up just closing the laptop so I could throw some stuff around the room and have a thing. And you know, is what it is. Tim doesn't have the bag to race me and Marla. Marla'd eat that thing up so bad. But listen, it isn't because Marla's got that much more power than him. Marla's a lot lighter than Rooster. You got to think about the difference in the lengths of these trucks. The the fact that he's got um, more axles than me. There's a ton of reasons why it would not be good for Tim to put Rooster in a drag race with me. Plus, he needs that shit for work. So when he tries to beat me and breaks it, then he's got to spend a bunch of money. And Marley'd eat that thing up in a drag race. Now, on the dyno, on paper, he should be able to show me a torque number that I can't attain. So I am considering a little song lyric on the back of Marla, maybe from Alice in Chains. I won't really say what they are, but you probably get the gist. But yeah. All right, boys. And if there's any girls on, I think I've already challenged him to a bunch of stuff. He's, it's his work truck. I can't expect him to just come out and race. You know what I'm saying? Plus, my truck's not 100% yet. If he did sack it up and accept the challenge, he might beat me because I can't turn it up. I don't have enough fuel to keep it cool enough to beat him. That's right, Gil. I think it's going to say, "Come to snuff the rooster." But I don't know. We'll see. I'm all finished, brother. I am finished. I got finished last night. I got on the sim at 9:09 last night with a satisfactory completion of the second checklist, or second check ride. And so, yep, all finished, all requalified for the year. Supposed to go operate some junk in a couple of days and then go home. So we'll see what happens. But I think for now, I think we'll get off the live, and you guys can maybe catch some dinner still before it's too late. Right on, Seth. We'll do it, brother. And we'll see you boys and girls, if there's any on here, later.